admirer of the impeccable credibility, professionalism, and business savviness of BusinessDay. If you really mean business in Nigeria, start your day with BusinessDay.
BusinessDay is West Africa's leading provider of business intelligence and information, delivering premium content across diversified media platforms, including online, mobile, and print. Since its inception in 2001 with a weekly newspaper production, BusinessDay has expanded its reach to provide exclusive content accessible through print, mobile, and online channels. At BusinessDay, our mission is clear: to be the foremost provider of business and financial content, empowering readers to make informed decisions in Nigeria and Africa. Since our establishment, we have been committed to delivering insightful, relevant, and accurate information about Nigeria's business and finance environment, while contextualizing the impact of global events. We monitor the stock market, analyze the companies driving it, and report on government policies and their economic implications. From decoding market trends to dissecting economic shifts, we offer actionable investment ideas and serve as a compass for decision-makers navigating complexity. Beyond headlines, BusinessDay fosters discussions on critical economic issues through impactful conferences and events. These platforms bring industry leaders together to share narratives that drive innovation and spark meaningful dialogues. Our events galvanize connections, bridging the gap between inspiration and achievement. For businesses seeking visibility, our strong digital presence offers unparalleled opportunities, with millions of followers across social media and a dynamic website attracting visitors from within and outside Nigeria. BusinessDay is the ideal platform to boost visibility for your products and services. If you're looking for in-depth analysis and expert opinions on Nigeria and Africa's business landscape, BusinessDay is your guide.
Pleasure of welcoming great supporters and friends from INMA. He's the president, and then of course L. Wilkinson, and then Dorin is heading the work in Africa.
Honored that you're hosting us today. We look forward to a positive exchange of ideas and strategies to make our industry better. With me is Al Wilkinson. He's President and Executive Director of International News Media Association. All right, guys. And we're happy to have him here. I'll let him tell you guys more about him and why he's here.
I would leave you with the idea about Business Day. No platform can take it. No AI can replicate it. No competitor can buy it. So here's a little advice. Defend it. Build it. Invest in it. Because folks, the decade ahead is going to belong to huge organizations that are unmistakably themselves. They're not boring. They're not neutral. Who are you? Answer that question and you'll figure out the next one. Thanks a lot.
Pleasure of welcoming great supporters and friends from INMA. He's the president, and then of course L. Wilkinson, and then Dorin is heading the work in Africa.
Honored that you're hosting us today. We look forward to a positive exchange of ideas and strategies to make our industry better. With me is Al Wilkinson. He's President and Executive Director of International News Media Association. All welcome, guys. And we're happy to have him here. I'll let him tell you guys more about him and why he's here.
I would leave you with the idea about Business Day. No platform can take it. No AI can replicate it. No competitor can buy it. So here's a little advice. Defend it. Build it. Invest in it. Because folks, the decade ahead is going to belong to huge organizations that are unmistakably themselves. They're not boring. They're not neutral. Who are you? Answer that question and you'll figure out the next one. Thanks a lot.
For 25 years, Business Day has delivered credible journalism, intelligent analysis, and decision-shaping insights to Nigeria and Africa's business community. Introducing Africa's first AI-integrated website, enhanced with powerful new capabilities. At the heart of the new platform is the AI-enabled chatbot, built to help you navigate stories faster, ask questions, get summaries, and access deeper context instantly. Text-to-speech functionality, allowing you to listen to articles on the go.
The Murtala Muhammad International Airport, Lagos, has recorded an 11.8% growth in air traffic.
Whether you're commuting, driving, or multitasking, Business Day now moves with you. And with our new language translation feature, our journalism becomes even more accessible. You can select your preferred language, thereby expanding reach across diverse audiences in Nigeria, Africa, and beyond. This innovation reinforces our commitment to being not just a news platform, but also a smart, accessible, and future-ready business intelligence hub. As we celebrate 25 years of impact, we step confidently into the future, powered by technology, driven by credibility, and focused on you. Visit the new Business Day website today and experience the future of news.
Attention business leaders. Want to make informed decisions? Join the ranks of the best with Premium Business Day. Access in-depth analysis and expert opinions to stay ahead. Subscribe now at premium.businessday.ng and unlock premium content. Plus, you get 50% off your first subscription. Don't miss out. Make smarter choices and seize new opportunities. Sign up now and elevate your business game. Visit premium.businessday.ng today.
This is Business Morning Live right here on Business Day Television. My name is Elizabeth Musa. Thank you for joining us on a lovely Monday morning. Let's see what's making headlines today. INEC shifts candidate submission deadline by 3 days ahead of Osun election. Geregu misses 40 billion naira bond payment, raises fresh investor concerns. Banks ease overseas spending limits as FX pressures recede. Federal government, LASG, deepen collaboration to tackle Lagos-Calabar coastal highway flooding. Now let's begin the news as the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has extended the deadline for political parties to submit their candidate lists by 3 days as preparations continue for the August 15 Osun State election. The extension gives parties additional time to complete the required documentation and submit details of their candidates to the Commission within the revised timeline. The move comes as INEC intensifies preparations for the poll, with political parties also stepping up campaigns and mobilization across the state ahead of the election day. The Commission is expected to continue with other pre-election activities as it works to ensure that all administrative processes are concluded and the election is conducted in line with the approved timetable. Now moving on, Geregu Power PLC has missed payments linked to 40 billion naira in bond obligations, raising fresh concerns among investors over the company's financial position and its ability to meet debt commitments. The development has put renewed attention on the company's debt servicing capacity and the broader risks facing investors in Nigeria's corporate bond market. The missed payment could also increase scrutiny of Geregu's cash flows and financing arrangements as investors assess the company's ability to honor outstanding obligations. The situation comes amid growing investor focus on credit risk and repayment capacity in Nigeria's fixed income market, where rising financing costs have increased pressure on companies with significant debt exposure. Now, in other news, Nigerian banks are easing restrictions on overseas spending as improved foreign exchange liquidity reduces some of the pressure that previously constrained customers' access to dollars for international transactions. The move is expected to provide greater flexibility for Nigerians making payment abroad, including for travel, education, medical expenses, and other legitimate international transactions. The easing follows improved conditions in the foreign exchange market with increased dollar liquidity, helping banks meet more of their customers' legitimate FX needs. The development also signals a gradual return of confidence in the FX market, although banks are expected to continue monitoring demand and regulatory requirements as they adjust their international spending limit. And to end the news, the federal government and the Lagos state government is strengthening collaboration to address persistent flooding along sections of the Lagos-Calabar coastal highway, following concerns over the impact of heavy rainfall on the major infrastructure project. The two governments are reviewing drainage and water management measures around the highway to improve the flow of stormwater and reduce the risk of flooding during periods of intense rainfall. The development comes amid widespread flooding in parts of Lagos, which has disrupted movement, affected businesses, and raised concerns about the resilience of major infrastructure projects during the rainy season. Authorities say the collaboration is aimed at finding a lasting solution while ensuring that construction and related drainage works along the coastal corridor can continue without worsening flood risk in surrounding communities. Now that does it this morning on the Business Morning News. Up next is the newspaper review. Do stay with us.
This is Business Week, a weekly program brought to you by BusinessDay television.
And we're live from Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, bringing you the latest insights into the stories that matter for business and the economy. I am Deborah Eze.
Onyeka Valentine.
I am Destiny Momo.
My name is Elizabeth Musa.
When you think of business, think no more, think Business Day.
I know that Business Day television will go places. It is the next big thing that will happen to the Nigerian media sector without a shade of doubt.
This is Business Week, a weekly program brought to you by BusinessDay television.
And we're live from Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, bringing you the latest insights into the stories that matter for business and the economy. I am Deborah Eze.
Onyeka Valentine.
I am Destiny Momo.
My name is Elizabeth Musa.
When you think of business, think no more, think Business Day.
I know that Business Day television will go places. It is the next big thing that will happen to the Nigerian media sector without a shade of doubt.
This is Business Week, a weekly program brought to you by BusinessDay television.
And we're live from Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, bringing you the latest insights into the stories that matter for business and the economy. I am Deborah Eze.
Onyeka Valentine.
I am Destiny Momo.
My name is Elizabeth Musa.
When you think of business, think no more, think Business Day.
I know that Business Day television will go places. It is the next big thing that will happen to the Nigerian media sector without a shade of doubt.
This is Business Week, a weekly program brought to you by BusinessDay television.
And we're live from Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, bringing you the latest insights into the stories that matter for business and the economy. I am Deborah Eze.
Onyeka Valentine.
I am Destiny Momo.
My name is Elizabeth Musa.
For 25 years, Business Day has delivered credible journalism, intelligent analysis, and decision-shaping insights to Nigeria and Africa's business community. Introducing Africa's first AI-integrated website, enhanced with powerful new capabilities. At the heart of the new platform is the AI-enabled chatbot, built to help you navigate stories faster, ask questions, get summaries, and access deeper context instantly. Text-to-speech functionality, allowing you to listen to articles on the go.
The Murtala Muhammad International Airport, Lagos, has recorded an 11.8% growth in air traffic.
Whether you're commuting, driving, or multitasking, Business Day now moves with you. And with our new language translation feature, our journalism becomes even more accessible. You can select your preferred language, thereby expanding reach across diverse audiences in Nigeria, Africa, and beyond. This innovation reinforces our commitment to being not just a news platform, but also a smart, accessible, and future-ready business intelligence hub. As we celebrate 25 years of impact, we step confidently into the future, powered by technology, driven by credibility, and focused on you. Visit the new Business Day website today and experience the future of news.
Attention business leaders. Want to make informed decisions? Join the ranks of the best with Premium Business Day. Access in-depth analysis and expert opinions to stay ahead. Subscribe now at premium.businessday.ng and unlock premium content. Plus, you get 50% off your first subscription. Don't miss out. Make smarter choices and seize new opportunities. Sign up now and elevate your business game. Visit premium.businessday.ng today.
This is still the Business Day CEO from the 14th annual edition, and I've got a very lovely woman by my side this afternoon. Can you introduce yourself to us?
Absolutely. I'm Aderemi Saka. I'm the MD CEO of NASCON Allied Industries PLC, also known as Dangote Salt.
Fantastic. I'm going to start by asking you a simple question, really. NASCON Allied Industries relies almost entirely on imports, for its core raw materials, bringing in roughly $22 million to $24 million worth of goods annually. Now, tell me, how has this crisis in the Middle East, which has virtually halted, shipping fundamentally, has it shifted your organization's long-term approach to maritime risk management?
For us, it hasn't really impacted in terms of our imports, but the cost of importation has gone up. Our freight charges used to run between $21 and $25, and now we're seeing freight anywhere from $31 to $40. So that definitely has a significant impact on our cost. But what we are doing as a business is to also look at ways in which we can trim down on other costs. And so we've really looked at cost-saving initiatives across the board to be able to cushion that weight, because you definitely don't want to pass that on to your consumers.
Right. So we see manufacturers are increasingly turning to backward integration to reduce their dependence on imported raw materials. So how has this strategy helped your company?
In terms of backward integration of salt, that is very difficult because based on research, salt is you're not able to cultivate and to manufacture salt at the large scale within the country. But we're looking at all our other resources to see how we can really rely on local manufacturers. That is across the board in terms of our packaging material, in terms of other additives that we have to not just our salt, but also our seasoning. We're definitely relying more on local manufacturers to support those endeavors.
Now, you talked about something right there on the stage. You mentioned that energy costs amounts to up to 40% of your total input costs. So tell us more about that. Just break it down for us.
So that is an average across the nation, across manufacturing companies. You're seeing 30 to 40% of your costs are from energy costs. So what we have done as a business is, one, we try to ensure that all of our plants, they're running in the most efficient manner. We have a mix of both AGO generators and gas power generators. And so that is able to mitigate some of that cost. And then, again, but the major thing I would say is efficiency, ensuring that you're producing in an efficient manner and you're optimizing your capacity so that way your variable costs are significantly less per product.
Fantastic. I think we'll just leave it there today because we know you have to run and we have to wrap up. But thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you very much.
You're still watching Business Morning Live right here on Business Day Television. Now it's time for us to see what we have on the front page of our papers this morning. I'm not doing it alone. I'm doing it alongside our editorial director here at Business Day Television, Mr. Joshua Bassi. Mr. Bassi, good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to see you today. And how was your weekend?
It's fine. How was yours?
It was great. It was great. It's always great to see you. How's the family? What are you looking forward to this week?
Yeah, but this week should be a very productive week. That's what I look forward to. A productive week. A week that should be able to maybe meet our target, the target that we've set for ourselves for the week. And then with God's favor, I think we should be able to achieve that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen. Amen to that.
So what are you looking forward to?
I think I'll just move with what you've said.
Okay, that's fine.
You lead, I follow. Well, let's see what we have on the front page of the paper, starting off with the Business Day newspaper this morning. On the front page of the Business Day newspaper, firstly, let me start by saying congratulations to MTN on 25 years. 25 years of possibilities, and cheers to the next 25 years. It's interesting that Business Day is turning 25 and MTN also turning 25. Like minds, right? So 25 years of excellence.
Great corporate organization.
Yes, and it's MTN Nigeria. MTN Nigeria is doing absolutely well. So on Friday there was also like a half-year meet with some of the CEOs, which I mean they just organized for some people and just invited a couple of people, and they were able to just talk you through their financials and you know the year so far and then the journey. It was great. So congratulations to MTN on 25 years. I see why we had to have
congratulations
almost a full spread. Really, yes,
because they came in at the time that it came in at the time that Nigeria was not really a place of that kind of take the kind of bet they took. I think it was Econet or that came in first.
Econet Wireless, yes.
Wireless, and then but again, MTN eventually actually started the push.
And they've stood the test of time. They're leading now.
They're leading now.
They're leading now.
I think they're the ones
leading.
Is it 80 million subscribers or something? So without a doubt, MTN is a big organization, a big corporate. Their shares also, I mean,
does well,
doing very well, and then people are earning money from it, and then even in terms of employment,
and they also take very good care of their staff.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Even in terms of employment, it's a place that
it's a great place to work.
A lot of people are look forward to securing a job. I mean, that students who are I've had a conversation with students who say I look forward to working with
MTN.
A company like that. So it's good work for them. 25 years of corporate existence, doing business, doing well.
And doing business in Nigeria, and also the fact that they're very keen on CSR. MTN is the one telecommunication company that has a lot of projects around the youth, projects around the older people, with the MTN Foundation across the Yellowverse, with the MTN Foundation, the
entertainment industry,
you find them, education, you find them, just across all sectors. So they're doing well to make an impact in the society. Their scholarships, the Mission scholarships, they have the Mission scholarships. They have a number of activities that is catered to making the community, making the society better. I think that's really important. So let's move on now and talk about first corporate bond default in 7 years, exposing cracks in power sector. This is the very good story.
Yeah, that's the very good story. I would say is I don't know whether I should use the word unfortunate. Of course, I'm not one of those who but for corporate organizations and who bought the bond, I mean, they were looking forward to having their bond payment first maturity, but it's looking as very clear that the very good power has defaulted, but it is not just the fact that they company itself, Variable Power PLC, has defaulted. It is what this means for the power sector. I mean, a sector that is very much in dire need of fund investment. And so by this default, investors will maybe looking at if this has happened with Variable Power PLC, I mean, another operator within that in the industry, if they issue a corporate bond, investors going to be excited about it. They're going to buy into it. So this is sending a very wrong signal to investors, especially corporate investors, who may think that, oh, this is not what we expected. So that's the challenge here. I mean, I like the way BusinessDay has actually put that story. If you can look at that headline again.
It says first corporate bond default in 7 years exposes cracks in the power sector.
In the power sector. Cracks in the power sector. Like I said, is the power sector is one sector in Nigeria that that is in need of heavy investments. And so for Kerry Group Power that's issued that bond to have defaulted, it could be like corporate investor may just be like watch in the event that another corporate another such bond is issued by any operator, and so just wants to see what's going to happen. So, but it's not the end of it's not the end of the story. I think they can restructure that the debts, and then maybe find a way. I'm sure they will be able to work over it, restructure, work over it with the investors.
I'm sure they will be
the creditors, and see what they can do along the line. But it's not a good one for it's not a good one for the power sector. But again, what has also led to this? I mean, a lot of time you hear people talking, especially people in that sector, talking about the right pricing of electricity, because if you look at this, if you look at the numbers, you discover that Variable Power, did not make enough money, within the period to be able to actually repay that. But part of the problem is that they generate power, right, and then keep the plant running, and then they buy gas to be able to run this thing. But of course, they sell to they sell to they generate and sell, and they expect that money will come. But the money they are expecting is not coming in the quantum that they expect that it should come. And so the natural thing actually is to, you may not be able to actually pay. So is a value chain within that sector, meaning that there's a need for corporate appropriate pricing of electricity, right? Because if there's appropriate pricing of electricity, so the generator, the power generator, for instance, in this case, Variable Power, and of course others who are in that who are generating, will be able to make money, to be able to pay their gas supply, right? And then so be able to make money. But the value chain will actually be from distribution, because they generate, sell, okay, then there's the transmission, then there's distribution. So, but at the end, the value chain, if the distributor are not able to make enough money, right, they will not be able to pay those who are supplying them electricity to them. But so it's just a value chain that starts from what we pay, what you pay, what I pay, what the corporate organizations and even small businesses who are using power. So that's where the money is coming from. So if that money is not really coming, it will actually affect the generators, who have to pay the gas supplier.
Yeah.
And so that's just a problematic, it's just a vicious
It's
cycle.
a vicious cycle. But let's see what we have on the Vanguard paper this morning. There's also quite a number of stories on the front page of the Vanguard paper this morning. On page 11, which is the big story on Vanguard, it says only 6 banks pay 1.27 trillion naira dividends despite huge profits. That's quite a revelation. And then it says it's a conservative capital management strategy. This is from the CIS boss. CBN stopped the dividends. This is from Adonri. Olayinka says it was a regulatory pushback. So everyone is responding to why only 6 banks pay 1.27 trillion dividends despite huge profits that banks make. And finally, says why CBN stopped some banks. This is from Kofi. Finally, another response from Aime says outlook for banking industry remains constructive. That's on the front page of the Vanguard. And then NRS on page 5 says Nigeria's economy recovering after painful reforms. And on page 36 it says Edo aggrieved members reject Utomi Galadima panel. And on page 10 it says companies behind Nigeria's stock market 58.9 trillion naira boom. And below it says JAMB clears 5,000 complaints in 5 days. Wow. And on page 9 it says APC completes upload of all candidates ahead of deadline. And on page 8, NLC demands power sector shake up. In Osun State, Oyinlola leads PDP faction to endorse Oyebamiji. And finally, DMO, Nigeria spent 3.1 trillion naira on domestic debt servicing in Q1. But I think we should start off with the story on page 11, which is the biggest story. Only 6 banks pay 1.27 trillion naira dividends despite huge profits.
Despite huge profits. So the question now is that where is the money going? I mean, if you haven't, if you pay just only 6 banks are able to pay 1.27 trillion dividends to their shareholders. I think that the bank can do better.
They can,
given the fact that they're making a whole lot of money this time around. I mean, the economy is a good one for them. They're making a boom. The investors who are call them investors, shareholders who have invested money in those banks. I also expect that they should be able to reap from their investment. So I think that the banks can do better by paying something better than what we've seen, because a whole lot of money the banks are making this time around. Well, it is what it is. I mean, they've
given all of this. All of them have said one thing or the other as to why that's happening. You're seeing, like, from the rider, different reasons. This one says it's a conservative capital management strategy. One says it was a regulatory pushback. They're just different
reasons.
Different reasons given. Well, let's see what we have.
They can do better. I mean,
they can actually do better.
Shareholders buy shares in the industry in order to be able to get dividends. So if you make good profit, so let them let the shareholders share from those profits.
Yeah. Let's see what we have on the front page of the Punch paper this morning. On the Punch paper this morning, still celebrating MTN at 25, and then it says Presidency Atiku in fresh war of words over killings. Ex-Vice President faults Tinubu on security. President rallies clerics against insurgency. That's on the front page of the Punch. And on page 3, Osun 2026, Oyinlola-led PDP faction dumps Adeleke, backs APC's Oyebamiji. We also saw that on the front page of Vanguard. Right. Fresh war of words over killings. I have to give it to Atiku because he's been in the news really speaking up against some of the things that he believes are not some of the things he believes are not going well in the country.
Yes, he's been speaking very loudly of recent. Of course, this should be expected, because election is around the corner. I think before the end of this August, the election campaign will officially flag off. So we'll see more of this, war of words, as the paper has put it. Of course, it's expected because Atiku is the major opposition leader. So you will expect naturally that he will speak against the government in power. They will always find fault with one thing or the other.
But do you think he stands a chance?
Well, I have said that, Tinubu himself, that's why, the other time when the Catholic bishops visited the president, and you saw what the president said, INEC is doing, INEC is so impartial, all of that. The people have said, look, Mr. President, you should not be speaking for INEC. So, but whether he's going to go far or not will depend on what he's able to present to Nigerians as alternative to what the current government is doing. You understand? So if you say, for instance, let's take for instance, you talk about, let's take for instance, government stopping fuel subsidy, right? So what alternative would you have offered if you were elected? So it's for him to be able to actually effectively communicate to Nigerians to say, look, if I come in respect of fuel subsidy that the current administration stopped, this is what I would do differently. Okay, the floating of the naira, this is what I would do differently in terms of maybe insecurity, right, which is a major issue in the country today. This is what I would do differently. So he has to be able to actually put on the table is the program and plan to say, not just communicating the program, but actually communicate the step-by-step plan as to how it will deal with insecurity, as to how it will bring about economic revival, as to how it will pull millions of Nigerians out of poverty. You understand? As to how it will deal with the terrorist organizations, all of those things. So those are the things that will be able to maybe give him a chance, and then Nigeria was okay. We've seen an alternative. But like I said, the president said the other time that the road that brought him to where he is today was tough.
Yes.
And that now that he's here, so that statement, that statement, it means a lot.
What does it mean?
It simply means that if I could get to where I am today, okay, without the support of even the president who was, I've said it before, Buhari did not fully support Tinubu to get the APC ticket. You recall? You remember the former Senate President Ahmed Lawan was the one that suddenly was pushed to become to get the APC presidential ticket, but Tinubu somehow fought back and he was able to get it. So it was at that time that the APC didn't have a choice,
right? And
then to give it, but allow Tinubu. So he fought through.
He fought through
to get to where he is today. So himself has said that if the road that brought him through,
but was it a good fight? That's a story for another day. Was it? I mean, these are conversations that
you fought through. But the point is that whether the fight may not have been so good in the estimation of some people. But the point is that there were court cases.
Selfish
no, but there were court cases. Whether you're talking about the election appeal, the election tribunal, then appeal court, the Supreme Court, they all said that he won. Okay. So we have accepted. So he's telling you. So if those the road that brought him to where he is today was that tough, is it now that he's here? You know what I mean? You understand what I mean?
Right.
That he wouldn't be able to. So let's wait and see. But like I've always said, Nigeria will decide who wins in 2027.
And I hope they make a good decision. Let's see what we have on the Vanguard Guardian papers real quick, because we're out of time. It says insecurity, low ROI drags 18 states from digital access and connectivity. This is on page 6 of the Guardian paper. And it goes on to say rights groups allege 6,000 Igbo families in agony over missing loved ones. Unfortunate. And on page 4, it says aviation unions issue airlines final 3-day strike notice. That's on page 4 of the papers. And on page 4 still says NCC to sanction telecom operators for poor quality of service and experience. Zulum hosts Sahel countries seeks unified strategy against terrorism in Chad Basin. And ahead of the 2027 elections, on page 6, Atiku's camp divided amid calls for reform ahead of campaign season. That's on the front page of the papers. On page 3, INEC extends deadline for submission of governorship candidates list. I'm wondering why they're still not done. And on page 3 still says Nigeria would be paying 53 trillion naira in subsidy without reforms. But real quick, let's just speak on the insecurity and the low ROI, which drags 18 states from digital access and connectivity. We can't speak well enough on how much we need good connectivity. Right.
Yeah, I mean, we cannot. I know the other time we talk about this engineer, the side of their, infrastructure and all of that. Okay, and all of that. Okay, and so they are somehow unwilling to put more, into investment in infrastructure in those states, right? And that has brought about poor connectivity, low return on investment, because again, if we don't have strong internet access anywhere, and of course you won't be able to use it to make, for instance, there are people who are now teaching online, there are people who are now accessing banking services online, all of that. So where there are no strong internet connectivity and all of that, so then of course people won't be able to use those things to do all of the things they can do. But again, if the people are not able to use all of this to do what they can do, the telecom company will not be able to make as much money, right? So it's a vicious cycle, and this is the reason why again we cannot talk about the challenge and the problems of insecurity enough. This is the reason why government again need to look at what it is that they can do to actually address the issue of insecurity, particularly in the state that have been listed here in this story.
Honestly, and why? Speaking of, let's just moving on from that story. Atiku's camp divided amid calls for reform ahead of campaign season. I'm wondering why the camp is divided.
Well, I haven't actually read to see exactly this, but of course,
see that.
We know in any political organization,
but that also weakens its chances.
Yes, of course, there will always be opposing views. I mean, even in families, right? You see the mother, you see the father, you see the children. Sometimes they disagree. So, but of course, it is for them to look at what it is that was the cause of this division and disagreement, and then be able to get over them, and then come back together as a united front if they really want to make a strong showing, like you asked the right time, in 2027, because you can't go to a war, with a divided house,
with a divided camp, a divided team.
You see is it the house that's divided against itself cannot stand?
Yeah, that's
so they need to resolve their crisis, whatever it is, resolve it, and then they can present a united front to confront APC. Of course, 2027.
I would say united we stand, divided we fall. But let's see finally our cartoon of the day this morning. Okay, there's a cartoon of the day, but I think it can be on our screen, so we'll just have to move on today on the newspaper. But I saw the cartoon and I think it was really interesting. It talked about we saw something that looked like a snooker pool. And then we saw the president of the country, and then we saw the onlookers, which are the BAT supporters club, saying, "Oh my God, the governors are so out of form," because the governor, the president was sort of, how you're playing on a snooker pool, and then their rudiments, their directions, and then the onlookers are like, "Wow, this governors," because the governors were the ball, the snooker ball. So it's like, oh, these governors are out of form. Quite interesting cartoon, but we'll have to leave it this morning on the Business Day newspaper review segment. We've got Business Week up next. Do stay with us.
I am, of course, a great admirer of the impeccable credibility, professionalism, and business savviness of BusinessDay. If you really mean business in Nigeria, start your day with Business Day.
Business Day is West Africa's leading provider of business intelligence and information, delivering premium content across diversified media platforms, including online, mobile, and print. Since its inception in 2001 with a weekly newspaper production, Business Day has expanded its reach to provide exclusive content accessible through print, mobile, and online channels. At Business Day, our mission is clear: to be the foremost provider of business and financial content, empowering readers to make informed decisions in Nigeria and Africa. Since our establishment, we have been committed to delivering insightful, relevant, and accurate information about Nigeria's business and finance environment, while contextualizing the impact of global events. We monitor the stock market, analyze the companies driving it, and report on government policies and their economic implications. From decoding market trends to dissecting economic shifts, we offer actionable investment ideas and serve as a compass for decision-makers navigating complexity. Beyond headlines, Business Day fosters discussions on critical economic issues through impactful conferences and events. These platforms bring industry leaders together to share narratives that drive innovation and spark meaningful dialogues. Our events galvanize connections, bridging the gap between inspiration and achievement. For businesses seeking visibility, our strong digital presence offers unparalleled opportunities, with millions of followers across social media and a dynamic website attracting visitors from within and outside Nigeria. Business Day is the ideal platform to boost visibility for your products and services. If you're looking for in-depth analysis and expert opinions on Nigeria and Africa's business landscape, Business Day is your guide.
Pleasure of welcoming great supporters and friends from INMA. He's the president, and then of course L. Wilkinson, and then Dorin is heading the work in Africa.
Honored that you're hosting us today. We look forward to a positive exchange of ideas and strategies to make our industry better. With me is Al Wilkinson. He's President and Executive Director of International Media Association. All the way from Ghana. And we're happy to have him here. I'll let him tell you guys more about him and why he's here.
I would leave you with the idea about Business Days. No platform can take it. No AI can replicate it. No competitor can buy it. So here's a little advice. Defend it. Build it. Invest in it. Because folks, the decade ahead is going to belong to news organizations that are unmistakably themselves. They're not boring. They're not neutral. Who are you? Answer that question and you'll figure out the next one. Thanks a lot.
This is still the Business Day CEO from the 14th annual edition, and I've got a very lovely woman by my side this afternoon. Can you introduce yourself to us?
Absolutely. I'm Aderemi Saka. I'm the MD CEO of Nascon Allied Industries PLC, also known as Dangote Salt.
Fantastic. I'm going to start by asking you a simple question, really. Nascon Allied Industries relies almost entirely on imports, for its core raw materials, bringing in roughly $22 million to $24 million worth of goods annually. Now, tell me, how has this crisis in the Middle East, which has virtually halted, shipping fundamentally, has it shifted your organization's long-term approach to maritime risk management?
For us, it hasn't really impacted in terms of our imports, but the cost of importation has gone up. Our freight charges used to run between $21 and $25, and now we're seeing freight anywhere from $31 to $40. So that definitely has a significant impact on our cost. But what we are doing as a business is to also look at ways in which we can trim down on other costs. And so we've really looked at cost-saving initiatives across the board to be able to cushion that weight, because you definitely don't want to pass that on to your consumers.
Right. So we see manufacturers they are increasingly turning to backward integration to reduce their dependence on imported raw materials. So how has this strategy helped your company?
In terms of backward integration of salt, that is very difficult because based on research, salt is you're not able to cultivate and to manufacture salt at the large scale within the country. But we're looking at all our other resources to see how we can really rely on local manufacturers. That is across the board in terms of our packaging material, in terms of other additives that we have to not just our salt, but also our seasoning. We're definitely relying more on local manufacturers to support those endeavors.
Now, you talked about something right there on the stage. You mentioned that energy costs amounts to up to 40% of your total input costs. So tell us more about that. Like, just break it down for us.
So that is an average across the nation, across manufacturing companies. You're seeing 30 to 40% of your costs are from energy costs. So what we have done as a business is, we try to ensure that all of our plants, they're running in the most efficient manner. We have a mix of both AGO generators and gas power generators. And so that is able to mitigate some of that cost. And then again, but the major thing I would say is efficiency, ensuring that you're producing in an efficient manner and you're optimizing your capacity, so that way your variable costs are significantly less per product.
Fantastic. I think we'll just leave it there today because we know you have to run and we have to wrap up. But thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you very much.
This is Business Week, a weekly program brought to you by BusinessDay Television.
And we're live from Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, bringing you the latest insights into the stories that matter for business and the economy. I am Deborah Eze.
Onyeka Valentine. I am Destiny Momo.
My name is Elizabeth Moses.
When you think of business, think no more, think Business Day.
I know that Business Day television will go places. It is the next big thing that will happen to the Nigerian media sector without a shade of doubt.
Just ask, all this is happening after Otedola completely sold the stake of the company, right?
Yes. I mean, although I heard they paid.
They paid the first.
They paid the first.
Otedola sold last year. They paid. There was a coupon they paid in January.
There was a coupon.
So I don't think this has much to do with.
I don't think it has. So they paid under the new, the new guys, the Yari family, who are the new owners of the business. I think. Again, there is a lot of question mark about. So you're holding, it's as literally as you're holding the banks. You have the cash, and then you wait. You didn't do anything till the banks showed up at your house, embarrassed you.
So the way it is that when you to default on a bond is a very rare corporate event in Nigeria. It's rare. It doesn't happen all the time. In fact, in our story today, we said that, we clearly stated that VisionScape was the last time, even though technically it wasn't a default, but you could still tell me the default because they missed a coupon payment on the given date, on the specified date in the contract, and they were penalized for it. So, but they said it was down to administrative issues. So they had the money, they had Lagos State backing, an ISPO given by Lagos that was being paid every month. So that is done. But in Gary Goose case, you have the cash sitting right there in their books if you look at their financial statement, but they've still gone ahead to default. So to an average person, you see this and you think, oh, is this another problem with the power companies that we're used to, such that they don't have enough cash and this, but that's not the case with Gary. We're at least going by the financial statement. So the big question now is, why did they voluntarily choose to default on a coupon payment? Yeah, so we're now talking, what is the implication of that as well? I know that the government also has plans to bring a disco, maybe not the government, but a disco is probably going to list at some point the majority owner of a co-disco. We hear that Transgrid. We hear that they're exploring plans to list some stake on the stock exchange as well. Does this impact? Does this more or less dent investors' optimism about any company in that space now, given what has happened with Gary?
So we have just two listed generating companies, Transform and Garigo. We have close to about 20 generating companies, if not close to 30, but we have 20 major guys. These guys are heavily, capital intensive. They deal with a high chunk of cash, but then again, a lot of them are exposed to governments, meaning that you would also notice high receivables because the government had their biggest patronizers. The government had, and the government again clearly legacy debts. We have a legacy debt for generating companies alone for about 4 trillion.
Yeah,
these guys
which is what they're trying to package now into a bond. That would be
packaged into a bond. Although 4 trillion is what the government claimed his own audited statement is showing. The company themselves are claiming is as high as 7 trillion or even 10 trillion.
Yeah.
So the point is, the biggest problem facing the power sector. So there is infrastructure problem, there's a liquidity problem. With this kind of liquidity, how many banks will want to lend money to the Gencos to expand, to do business expansion? Considering the fact that even if you promise them, look, I have the capacity to pay, they'll tell you there's a Garigo incident. We don't. So that would probably be a stigma on all of the abilities of other Gencos to go into the bond market to raise funds, to go into the capital market to raise funds, and then the ability to even lure international investors to come and invest in the power sector, because we've often said that, look, the government has no business investing subsidies or grants into the power sector. The last time BusinessDay did a story about the amount of grants the World Bank had put into the power sector from 2001 till date. And with all of that kind of money, over $2 billion US, we still don't have close to 5,000 megawatts for a population of over 200 million people. So that's the.
But Diko, this is an anomaly. You would expect that for a country like Nigeria, with the size of our population, the the power sector should be a very lucrative sector, whether it's from the point of investors or just, because, I mean, it's a huge market. This is what we say. This is part of the dividends of having a huge population. Companies in the power sector should be feeding fat off, just revenues, profit, because there's a huge market to be serviced. But Nigeria's situation is such that despite all of our resources, our gas, enormous gas resources, we are still, like you said, stuck at around 5,000 megawatts for a population of over 200 million. And smaller countries with smaller population size are able to fully electrify and generate far more than what we're doing. 24 hours in Cote d'Ivoire as well. I look at Egypt's 12,000 megawatt power plant that started right after when we were still dilly-dallying around, and they've completed and is on stream now. So isn't this just an anomaly? And I think also that perhaps you can say that Femi Otedola probably built at the right time. It's just so they just moved from Geregu and moved to First Bank. Now First Bank is on the high, Geregu is going down. But what does it say about the general landscape of the Nigerian economy, that we still have a situation where, and this is for you now, but we still have a situation where, despite the obvious potentials that we have as a country, we're still not able to maximize it?
It just shows that the power sector is not attractive for investors. That's just what it says.
Because of subsidies, part of it. But I think that's not the only thing. I spoke to a veteran who really knows about the power sector, and he argued that it's not just about subsidies, that it's much more than that. That you also have a situation where some of the largest power consumers have left the national grid, and it has made it very unprofitable for many of the other.
The story that we did about universities leaving.
Yeah, and that we need to find a way to bring them back on board. Well, yeah.
I mean, I agree completely with everything said. Looking at the fact that the government is proposing a $1 trillion
economy,
so you can't achieve that without industrialization.
Absolutely.
Without power, industrialization is more like a ringtone. So you need power to really industrialize the economy, right? And then we have a population of about close to, according to the World Bank, about 80 million Nigerians who don't still have access at all. We're not talking about 2-hour, 3 hours. We're talking about people who don't even have access to electricity at all. So the market is huge. Nigeria again has been touted as more of a gas country than a oil country, right? So we have the gas
reserves,
we have the population, the market is there. But then again, like you said, I'm not sure subsidies is the only problem. I think there is a whole lot of problems around. There's a financing aspect, there's the infrastructure aspect, there is the government's willingness as well to really put square pegs in square holes. You look at, a lot of people have talked about the last power ministers we've had in the past. Are they really technocrats or people who you are bringing in? I mean, the last
one left to contest for governorship tells you that it's more politician than
a technocrat. So have we really, and then if you look at the rare cases where we've seen green lights, like the geometric in Aba, for instance, where Professor Batinaji was able to put a structure in place that allow Aba residents have access to 24-hour power supply. That's the level of scale we are looking at in terms of bringing that to the federal level. The last time it was the Minister of Power, we had a lot of movement in terms of having a power policy. In fact, we even added close to 400 or 500. That was the time we started the conversation about Azura, where the World Bank came up with a ring fence that allowed the gas providers and then the discos to meet without any form of interference. So there was no embeds, which is the Nigerian Bulk Electricity Trading Company, to buy electricity. So there's a conversation again about the kind of people who are in the power sector, the people at NEC, the people at these electricity bulk trading companies, like we mentioned, the quality of the people at the discos, and those who acquired the privatization asset in 2013, what's their pedigree, what's kind of, there are also conversations about the Siemens deal as well. What's is it more of a political deal than an economic deal? So, I mean, there's a whole lot. But while we are struggling with all of this, the world is not static. The world is moving on, right? So the world has moved on from 24 hours electricity. The world has moved towards, look, even from your home, you should have access to more than 3 or 4 electricity supply. And when I'm saying the world, I'm not talking about industrialized countries. I'm talking about our neighbors in Africa. I'm talking about Egypt. I'm talking about Algeria. I'm talking about some other countries within, even our neighbors here.
And
a very good example is my security man at home is from where? It's from Niger. And I've had conversations with him. He said, look, in Niger there's 24-hour power supply. And I said, how come a country like Niger have been able to crack power? Then we in Lagos or we in Nigeria as a whole are still struggling. So again, if the government is serious about that $1 trillion economy, we need to fix the power sector, because the power sector is...
And you know another thing that people say? They say that Nigeria is too big, and that's why it's a tougher nut to crack electricity than in smaller African countries that you have a population of over 220 million people. But then you could isolate cities. You can start with cities. You can say, okay, you know what, I'm starting with Lagos, Port Harcourt, and Abuja. Pilot. Let there be 24-hour power supply in those small cities before you go. And then you go, before you go.
Exactly. You just need to identify your industrial clusters.
Exactly.
Supply powers to the industries.
And then, you know those places.
That $1 trillion target their $1 trillion economy. They should even, for now, how the electricity sector is currently, it's not even going to help them at all, because you know that sector is still in recession. In fact, I think it's depression. I think they're in depression. I think there was a report I read from Muda Yusuf. He said that the electricity sector, I think, recorded the worst contraction for, I think, Q1 this year. Yeah. That actually says in double digits. What does that tell you? Is that a sector, or maybe do you even think the government is actually very serious about it? Because these challenges you highlighted, I think they are more than it, and it all boils down to accountability. We talked about, it was not 2 weeks ago, where we talked about the people in the personnel, the people in power. You understand? You talked about what type of people do we bring into the this sector. We talked about the ministers, how maybe not even up to half of them even understand the ministries or their bits or their sectors that they operate in. So that's just the major thing for me. I think we know what to do, but we're just
so to fix, so that we won't just focus on the problem. To fix this, like you mentioned, I think the first step, we have 3 categories of electricity customers. There's the residential customers, you and I. You are the commercial customers, that's the corporates, BusinessDay, the banks, and then there are the industrial customers, the Dangote, the heavy consumers,
manufacturing.
So the first step is to find a way to lure these guys back. The guys who can give you bulk money, someone who can pay 1 billion on a stretch. Before chasing the editor, before chasing Bumi, before chasing you and I for 10,000, 15,000. Just bulk guys that can give you 1 billion, 2 billion on a stretch. Get as many of them as you can to the national grid, and then you can start looking at scaling. You lure the industrial guys back with as many incentives as possible. Even if you are telling them, look, for every 10 megawatts you consume, you pay for, I'll give you 1 extra for free. Put as many as deliver.
The grid in the first place.
How would they trust you?
Because which is cheaper for them?
For the industrial guys,
that who have left the grid.
The industrial guys who have left, the grid is cheaper. Again, they left not because of the price. They left because they are a business. They need to. They will do whatever means.
They need reliable power.
If whatever it will cost them to lure the big guys,
the number one thing will be reliability.
So if you don't put your house in order, you can't win them back. So which is why I said, look, try your best as much as you can to win them back. In the process of winning them back, you have to fix yourself. Because if you don't fix yourself, they won't trust you well enough to part their money with you. And so once you have them back on the national grid, even from a 10%, 20%, 30% you scale, then you can now start solving. Put the right people there as well. And then the conversations about electricity subsidy as well. You need to have a holistic conversation, and you are going to be targeting the rural areas for the Harriers and the rest of them. You can have your electricity subsidy towards those set of people, but then get the markets, the power sector as viable as possible, so that we have more companies. Again, there are a lot of big guys who are not listed on the exchange. There's Edbay, for instance, who is as big as or bigger than Geregun, that is not even listed, right? So get as many of them listed as possible, and then we can have a more robust conversation, not about the defaults of Geregun, but about...
You're right, people. Those challenges, they run deep. I was looking at the BusinessDay story that was done in 2013 this morning, and the major headline there was about how pricing was the biggest problem with utilizing our gas resources, and it's still the case today, because at our CEO forum, the panel that was on gas and oil, oil and gas, one of the things that came out from that discussion was that pricing of gas is one of the things still holding us back in terms of our ability to. Well, I hold your thought 2013, but I hold your thoughts on that. We need to take a break. We'll be back, ladies and gentlemen. Please don't go away.
Nigeria, a land of boundless energy, driven by the pulse of over 200 million dreams. At the heart of this momentum stands a giant, Seplat Energy, an indigenous powerhouse accounting for a vital share of Nigeria's oil and gas output, propelled by the historic acquisition milestone with the acquisition of ExxonMobil's onshore and shallow water assets, significantly expanding its production capacity and marking its entry into offshore operations. We are the engine of prosperity, Nigeria's leading domestic gas supplier with a total gas production output of 2.7 billion cubic feet and the landmark Ano gas project delivering first gas. We have elevated our total processed gas output to 855 million standard cubic feet per day onshore. Indeed, we have brought domestic gas utilization to new heights, powering industries and securing energy for millions. But we are not just growing production, we're growing responsibly. By ending routine flares, we are decarbonizing our operations today to protect the Nigeria of tomorrow. Our reach is expanding. From offshore gas distribution to the growth of CNG for transport and industry, we are deepening our presence across the entire value chain. Our impact reaches the grassroots. Through innovative mini-grid projects, we are bringing clean, reliable energy to local communities, fueling economic empowerment where it's needed most. We are more than an energy company. We are a partner in progress, a leader in the energy transition, a giant rooted in Nigeria for Nigeria. Seplat Energy, leading Nigeria's energy transition, powering the future.
Every legacy has a beginning. Ours evolved, built on trust and carried forward as a second-generation family legacy. Bemio has grown into Nigeria's largest cash-in-transit provider, trusted where precision and reliability matter most. But we are more than movement. We deliver protection at every level, from professional guarding to journey management to concierge services. And through Bemio Polo, we reflect the identity, heritage and standards we uphold. This is modern service. This is a legacy in motion. Bemio, your partner to safer living.
At Providus Bank, we're committed to your growth and success. You're never alone on the journey. Our personalized relationship banking is how we do things together. It's what sets us apart. We value every individual and partnership and treat them as such. We're committed to helping you grow and celebrating your success. This is your life story, your future, your forward. This is all about you. Let's move you forward. Providus Bank.
And we are back. Before we took a short break, we were talking about Gerigu's bond default, what it means for the power sector, what it means for the capital market, and then, of course, what it means for the entire economy. Now we're going to pivot quickly to our second topic for the day, and it's, of course, we are reviving plans to list the state oil company NNPCL. I know that idea was first mooted in November 2016, in a policy draft document before a law in 2021 after the passing of the PIA then mandated that listing. Now it's back on the table. I mean, we've seen images, we've seen videos as well. The NGX team visited the president, and the president spoke about how he would want that to happen. And Temi Bopola, the chairman of NGX, was also delighted. He believes that that listing would allow Nigerians have a piece of one of the country's largest assets, and of course would also engender transparency. Deepo, what are your thoughts?
Yes, so that's for the first time we're having a conversation at the presidential level about IPO listing. The previous time that we've noticed it's either the minister making a public statement or the GMP
was always talking
about it. So this is the first time that we're having this conversation by the president himself.
Yeah,
right.
He never mentioned it.
But no, he never mentioned it. So why this is different is we always know that the president prioritized the oil and gas sector. Immediately he came into power, one of the first things he did was subsidy removal. A lot of IOC deals that have been struggling to get their divestments approvals, the president saw to it and it was done immediately. So a lot of the markets believed is currently banking on the fact that the NNPC IPO would happen under Tinubu's administration. Maybe not this first 4 years, but if he ends up winning a re-election by 2027, definitely the NNPC IPO would happen. Now, what's the implication for that for Nigeria and then for the economy as the case may be? So let's not forget where we are coming from. Currently, the oil and gas is not contributing. Yes, the biggest earner of FX, but then when you look at contributions to GDP, it's still slow, single digits. Now, if NNPC decides to invest on the IPO, we're looking at their total asset is currently estimated at about $150 billion, right? If they are listing, maybe it's 10% or 20% of that on the NGX markets, definitely is big. That's one. The second thing is it brings a lot of transparency and scrutiny to the books of NNPC as the case may be as well. So last week we were here to talk about the Seplat deal, of how a deal happened, and it took Seplat announcing before the whole world ended up knowing that, look, NNPC had sold certain stakes, or Seplat had sold certain stakes in some assets to NNPC. So what that would do is NNPC books will be more transparent, right? There will be a clear audit of what actually is Nigeria's total oil producing assets. So what are the assets that are currently operating, that are working at full capacity? What are the ones that are struggling? What are the idle assets that we are struggling to get investors? And beyond just identifying these assets is to know who is actually in possession of these assets. One of the opaqueness of NNPC currently is the fact that a lot of Nigerians' oil assets, we don't know the companies behind them. It's just for the very few ones, maybe the ones like the likes of Seplat, the Tony Elumelu, the First TMP, but that's like 20 or 30% of the total assets. There are a lot of assets that belongs to companies that's we classified as briefcase companies with no precedents, no antecedents. So all of that will be public. Everybody can see. Everybody can see what your gas production is. Everybody can see what your oil production, who is producing what, and what assets is the most prolific of all of Nigeria's assets. And then, of course, definitely in terms of money, makes the company more accessible for investors. Once investors are keen into the books as well, especially institutional investors, then a lot of scrutiny will be made on their decisions, right? Why are you investing in these assets? Why are you prioritizing these assets? Why are you selling these assets? And so it brings more efficiency and more transparency to the books, add more value of oil and gas to the economy, and then have the energy sector play a bigger role in terms of contribution to GDP. And so if you look at that IPO listing that we plan, we hope it will happen. The Dangote refinery as well that is planning to list, that is planning to get about $5 billion from the markets as well. Add that together, and I think the energy sector will definitely be one of the best.
Absolutely. And, if you look at it, I think from NNPC's last financial results, they had total assets of 246 trillion. If you list 10% of that, that's 24 trillion. That would easily surpass the current largest company market cap on the NGX, the Airtel. Airtel is around 23.9 trillion. So that would be a really big listing. And like you rightly said, then you now bring on the Dangote IPO as well. Wow. That would be really good. I think that investors have every reason to look forward to exciting times in the stock market.
But there's something, do you think investors would want to
want to hold a piece of NNPC?
I remember we had this discussion a few months ago when NNPC was meant to list this year before they pushed it 2028, and we're like, between that and NNPC, who
will we go for? So you're saying that it might be bad timing for NNPC if it's happening close to when
that they know they push it 2020. Why do they now push it 2028? Didn't we talk about when a lot of companies would just want to wait and see how much capital Dangote Refinery will bring in, because they are being careful, because if they go into the market, they might not raise enough capital because all their attention would be is on Dangote Refinery.
Yeah, but what I've also heard is that some companies are also very well aware that the demand for Dangote's IPO would most likely outstrip the supply. So at the conclusion of that IPO, there'll still be some investors with spare cash, people who they might buy on the next day, or they keep trading if they find people willing to sell. But there's also that argument that perhaps now that the market is up 56% year to date alone this year. Now that the market is really boisterous, there's a lot of demand activity. This is the best time to raise capital in a liquid market. So even if Dangote IPO is coming on stream, I don't think it means that no other person can afford to. I know that it could create some sort of competition, because if the timing is almost at the same period, then of course. But there are a couple of companies that also believe that the Dangote IPO would not stifle their own listing. If anything, it would even help them find better market pricing.
It's actually good,
for me, it's about the numbers, really. If the numbers are attractive enough.
Yeah. NNPC, she asked a very vital question. Is there anybody who we haven't seen
NNPC? They're also encouraging Nigeria, I think, not the gas.
NLNG too. If NLNG does list, I think there's no question about whether investors will be willing to snap up those shares, because that is a very well-run company.
Exactly.
People will definitely go for that. But NNPC,
so NNPC,
even after subsidy is gone.
First of all, subsidy is gone.
Yeah.
First major development. Second major development is the kind of people running NNPC now are different from the previous administration. Now we have the Bio-Jewelry, ex-Shell, we have Musakida, ex-Total Energy, we have Adeswa, company secretary, ex-ExxonMobil. So again, it depends on who is selling. Those kind of people have the pedigree that if they walk into the markets, they would. If someone, just to divert, if an Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala is selling a company now, that name itself would open the doors. So it's the same for NNPC. You have the right kind of people who can market it now. And I think it shouldn't be a tough.
It's actually good. I just hope they don't stop at just NNPC, because in the beginning of the discussion, you talked about how other people have advocated the listing of NNPC, the public assets. So I just hope it will encourage more public companies to also list, because right now, when it comes to the government to finance, one of the ways we finance the budgets, we borrow a lot, right, just to finance the budget. So at least when you go to the stock exchange, if the government needs money or capital, they will be able to source funds from the capital market. So a lot of people have been encouraging this. So let's see what happens. I'm not so optimistic, but
I think we're moving in the right direction because this has been on the table for many years. But you can see what has happened with other.
If it's the market now, would you buy
NNPC?
Yes.
I think the other. Well, let's leave that. Let's leave that. Let me give that answer to my friend. It doesn't mean it's not a good company. It might mean that I have other priorities.
Exactly.
So I think it is. No. I think it is now. I just remember something. I think it's just now for NNPC to just, if they can, do like a road show. You've talked about how
of course that would be
education.
Of course.
That why has changed. Because it's not just by you are this is you have new people on board, but showing us that, oh, this is what will happen if you list, this is how much the share, this is how much capital you're going to get, or the money you're going to make, or I might even be a millionaire.
Anyway, we feel like this is a right move. We shouldn't forget to say that.
Yes.
But it doesn't matter whether any one of us would invest or not. That aside, but this is the right move. We've seen what is possible when a country decides to list a state-owned oil company like Saudi Aramco. And Saudi, that's the example that we're always talking about. One of the largest companies in the world today. So you have that. So NNPC, this is long overdue. And as you've said, it's also a very good way of raising capital. We still have huge budget deficits when we have a lot of assets just lying fallow that we're not doing enough to sweat those assets. So this is one of the ways that will be sweating the NNPC assets. So it's a good one. We've got less than 2 minutes left. And I think in the final 2 minutes, we should take the opportunity to just talk about, or do a review, if you like, of what has happened across maybe the top 5 largest African economies in the month of July.
Okay.
In 2 minutes.
Okay. So
what indices will you be looking at?
Let's just look at PMI. Look at that.
Purchasing Managers Index.
Okay, so in H1, business activity across the economy was around 50%. It expanded.
Across Africa?
Across Africa, but it was not up to what it was last year because of the Iran war, spiking inflation rates and all. But July, we're seeing something interesting. We're seeing more African countries expanding, right? That is, they are seeing their PMI rising above 50 points. It's actually a good one because it tells me that the second half of the year might see more businesses, expanding, or activities in the private sector will actually increase. Because the last time we had more companies, around 5 of them, entering expansion was in March. That is like maybe when the Iran war started. So that was surprising for me. Another interesting thing I also paid attention was inflation. Ghana. I don't want us to talk about South Africa because they are still seeing a rise in inflation. But Ghana recorded, they saw inflation drop for the first time in I think since March. Right, and duly because of harvest season and food inflations are down. But just Ghana seeing a decline in inflation rate, and Kenya, which saw a rise in inflation rate, but it rose slightly. It gives me that optimism that the rest of the months of the year, inflation prices would ease up compared to just the H1. And when that happens, it tells me that a lot of African central banks might start cutting rates, because what they've actually been doing has been holding rates. Many of them, in fact, I thought they were going to start increasing rates, but South Africa, they held. So right now, everybody is just saying that inflation drop easing. We see a lot of African countries.
But I think the reason why they're holding rates is because what is driving inflation now is the US-Iran war, right? And they don't see that as something that would
it's
last
not,
forever.
yeah, I don't
but
think
even though it looks every time it looks like we're about to reach a ceasefire, take 10 steps backwards again.
So I guess what they're now trying to do is to find a way to not focus as much on what is happening with the Iran war, right? They're trying to see in-house how to bring down inflationary pressures. I talked about how a lot of them had to cut down the tax on petrol imports. So that's one way they've been able to ease inflationary pressure. So by August, maybe a lot of them would continue to. No, I mean, July inflation is not yet out, I think, for Nigeria. I'm also looking, that will be out next week. I don't know if that's going to drop. Is it this week or no? 15? It's on a Saturday. They only released on Monday, maybe weekend or so. So let's see what happens. But I'm seeing.
So ahead of that inflation report, what are you expecting for Nigeria for July? Yeah.
I think it might ease up a bit. It's dropped.
What would drive? Yeah. What would drive?
Petrol. I think petrol price.
It was the first drop
since March.
In 3. Yeah.
So I think I'm expecting it to ease further, because petrol price. How many times did we reduce petrol price in July? The exchange rate has also been stable too. Major drivers of the inflation. So it might drop. It might drop slightly. But I think currently we're at 15.6%. Yeah.
That makes sense, because I mean this will be music to the ears of a lot of small businesses that have to rely on bank credit, because they would know that, I mean, if inflation starts to maintain that downward trajectory, then it means that the CBN has scope to cut interest rates, and that's what many businesses have been complaining about, the high interest rates. So that's definitely something to look out for. So that's where we will close for today. Viewers, thank you for joining us on this edition of Business Week. We went through a couple of issues. We started off with Geregu's bond default, what it means for the power sector and the economy. Then we went quickly to the proposed NNPC's listing, a plan first muted 10 years ago that has resurfaced again, this time with presidential backing, as it seems. And then we ended up by talking about what's happening across various African economies. We reviewed the markets for the month of July. We think that inflation for Nigeria, which is due to be released this week or early next week, would show a second consecutive month of decline, which might pave the way for the CBN to start to cut rates at some point. And so we close it there. And I would also want to say that you still don't have to wait till next Monday to hear from us again or to read some of our exciting insights. You could do well to visit our website at www.businessday.ng. Thank you until we come your way again next week. Bye-bye.
I am, of course, a great admirer of the impeccable credibility, professionalism, and business savviness of BusinessDay. If you really mean business in Nigeria, start your day with BusinessDay.
BusinessDay is West Africa's leading provider of business intelligence and information, delivering premium content across diversified media platforms, including online, mobile, and print. Since its inception in 2001 with a weekly newspaper production, BusinessDay has expanded its reach to provide exclusive content accessible through print, mobile, and online channels. At BusinessDay, our mission is clear: to be the foremost provider of business and financial content, empowering readers to make informed decisions in Nigeria and Africa. Since our establishment, we have been committed to delivering insightful, relevant, and accurate information about Nigeria's business and finance environment, while contextualizing the impact of global events. We monitor the stock market, analyze the companies driving it, and report on government policies and their economic implications. From decoding market trends to dissecting economic shifts, we offer actionable investment ideas and serve as a compass for decision-makers navigating complexity. Beyond headlines, BusinessDay fosters discussions on critical economic issues through impactful conferences and events. These platforms bring industry leaders together to share narratives that drive innovation and spark meaningful dialogues. Our events galvanize connections, bridging the gap between inspiration and achievement. For businesses seeking visibility, our strong digital presence offers unparalleled opportunities, with millions of followers across social media and a dynamic website attracting visitors from within and outside Nigeria. BusinessDay is the ideal platform to boost visibility for your products and services. If you're looking for in-depth analysis and expert opinions on Nigeria and Africa's business landscape, BusinessDay is your guide.
Nigeria, a land of boundless energy, driven by the pulse of over 200 million dreams. At the heart of this momentum stands a giant, Seplat Energy, an indigenous powerhouse accounting for a vital share of Nigeria's oil and gas output, propelled by the historic acquisition milestone with the acquisition of ExxonMobil's onshore and shallow water assets, significantly expanding its production capacity and marking its entry into offshore operations. We are the engine of prosperity, Nigeria's leading domestic gas supplier with a total gas production output of 2.7 billion cubic feet and the landmark Ano gas project delivering first gas, we have elevated our total processed gas output to 855 million standard cubic feet per day onshore. Indeed, we have brought domestic gas utilization to new heights, powering industries and securing energy for millions. But we are not just growing production, we're growing responsibly. By ending routine flares, we are decarbonizing our operations today to protect the Nigeria of tomorrow. Our reach is expanding. From offshore gas distribution to the growth of CNG for transport and industry, we are deepening our presence across the entire value chain. Our impact reaches the grassroots. Through innovative mini-grid projects, we are bringing clean, reliable energy to local communities, fueling economic empowerment where it's needed most. We are more than an energy company. We are a partner in progress, a leader in the energy transition, a giant rooted in Nigeria for Nigeria. Seplat Energy, leading Nigeria's energy transition, powering the future.
This is Business Week, a weekly program brought to you by BusinessDay Television.
And we're live from Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, bringing you the latest insights into the stories that matter for business and the economy. I am Deborah Eze.
Onyeka Valentine.
I am Destiny Momo.
My name is Elizabeth Musa.
When you think of business, think no more, think Business Day.
I know that Business Day television will go places. It is the next big thing that will happen to the Nigerian media sector without a shade of doubt.
Looking for fast and reliable answers to your business and economic questions? Meet SIA, Business Day's Strategic Intelligence Assistant, Nigeria's first AI-powered news chatbot. Simply visit businessday.ng, click the SIA chat icon, and ask your question in plain language. Whether it's inflation, market trends, company insights, government policies, or personal finance, SIA delivers instant answers powered by Business Day's trusted journalism. Smarter insights, faster decisions. Visit businessday.ng today and discover the future of business intelligence with SIA.
This is Business Morning Live right here on Business Day Television. My name is Elizabeth Musa. Financial inclusion is often measured by the number of people with bank accounts or access to digital payment, but access is only one part of the story. If financial institutions cannot properly identify customers, understand their economic activity, or use that information to make informed decisions, then access alone has its limit. And for a country with a large informal economy, the quality of that data could determine who gets credit, who gets priced out, and who remains invisible to the formal financial system. That's where data infrastructure becomes critical to the next phase of financial inclusion. Well, joining me to unpack this conversation this morning is Sadiq Edu, is the founder of Pika Insight. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Lizzie. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here this morning. So let me start with what I think many people want to know, really. We're generating more financial data than ever before. Why are we not seeing more of that data translating into financial access?
The truth is, we don't have a data shortage issue in Nigeria. We have a data to decision issue. And so while we are generating more data than ever, that data sits in silos. It's not structured, it's not connected. And therefore, we're not able to surface it up to corporates who can then understand it and take action against it. So that's actually the challenge that we're facing in Nigeria today.
Right. And when we talk about data infrastructure itself, what are the critical pieces that you say needs to be in place for that to happen?
Yeah, thank you. I'd probably break it down into 4 areas. I think the first step is that we need to be able to capture the data. Once we're able to capture the data effectively and accurately, then we need to be able to connect it to each other. Otherwise, it's just data sitting in, like I said, silos. But actually, we want to be able to connect it to paint a bigger story, which is then the next step, the third step, which is to understand it. Once you have all that raw data coming into one place, you're then able to understand it. And then the most critical part is that from understanding, you're able to act against it. Because data is just data if it's not usable, right? But the second you make it intelligible is when that data becomes powerful.
And also, let's talk about the small business owner who has no formal financial statement, but has years of transaction history. What is it that you could tell a data? What can that data tell a lender that a traditional credit score might miss?
So a credit score will focus on where you've borrowed before, and it might be able to tell you when you've repaid or not. Whereas transactional history is much more than that. Transactional history will be able to tell you how often are you earning, how much have you earned, is it seasonal? Yes, including some of the credit scoring things, which where are you buying your supplies from? Has the business changed over time? And therefore, being able to provide all that data and be able to capture more than just a traditional credit score is what gives you this historical evidence that it's not just about where they've been able to collect money and pay it back. It's actually about how are they actually operating, and is this a business that one can back because of the history of it and their ability to actually run a business than just be able to collect and pay back.
But I'm also curious to know, Sadiq, really, if the bigger problem is the bigger problem the fact that we don't have enough data, or that this data exists but it's sitting in different places and they're not connected? What's the problem?
So fragmentation is the bigger issue. So in the work that we do, we provide a mobile application to market women, and so the small traders you're talking about, small business owners, and they collect data, but their data sits in booklets, in pads that, to be honest with you, they just accumulate and sit at the back of the shop. But even the best data scientists cannot look at notepads and then be able to glean insight from it. So it's very important that you're able to bring that data into a system where it can be understood. So what we do is provide a mobile application that allows them to log their sales, their expenses, their bookkeeping, their inventory management. As they do that, they build a Pika score, which is somewhat like a credit score. And then from that, they're able to access financial services and even government benefits. And so you see, we've taken, yes, there is a score, which will include some credit elements. However, it's also more about the transactional history. Now, that data sitting in the back of a shop across many clusters, if you're sitting as a financial institution and you want to be able to distribute your financial services, you need to be able to reach, and you also need to be able to target in terms of like, where are the clusters? So by being able to connect not just your sales, your expenses, your inventory per shop, but you're now able to identify clusters that means, okay, this is a hotspot, you're then able to allow it to become more predictable for corporates, financial institutions that want to come in to the informal sector.
But I hear you, but I also need to ask, because if I can demonstrate consistent income and transactions digitally, should that not make it easy for me to access credit? What's still preventing that from happening at scale?
Yeah, so being able to demonstrate that you're digitally, providing data is not enough.
Okay.
What is more important is that you're able to verify that. I'll give an example. The Social Security number in the US is a number that is tied to every single thing that one does as a citizen, right? And, people make jokes that the banking system in the US, when you use a card, you can just swipe and you don't even put a pin in sometimes. Now, people think, oh, that's weak security. It's not. On its own, yes, sure it is. But when you connect it to a wider system that speaks to each other, there are patterns, there are things that you can see across all the different agencies, all the different places that data sits, where that social security number is tied to.
Right.
That means you're able to tell a fuller story. And so you have what they call defense in depth, in the sense that like the risk is understood across a wider picture. So same here, being able to say that you're online and you're transacting, and what's to say that you're not putting in whatever number you want in. If I can't verify that against what the banks know about me, what the telco knows about me, what NIN knows about me, what CAC knows about me, then quite frankly, you're back to that issue of, yes, it's digital, but it's just a digital, what I would call silos of excellence. Do you understand?
Silos of excellence.
So every silo is working very well on its own, and it's excellent on its own, but it's still a silo. And it only becomes, like I said, useful and has real utility when you're able to connect it across all the silos.
When everything is fully integrated,
Exactly.
so to speak. Now, for banks and other lenders, how much does that better data change the risk of lending to people who have traditionally been considered as too risky?
Yeah. So I think there is a misconception, like banks are not, and lenders, and so it's not that they don't want risk.
Okay.
They won't understand it, so they can price more accurately, right?
I'll be sure about that.
Well, let's say, you always have bad actors, Lizzie. Like, I'm not saying that everybody is, doing this in a clean manner, but at least for the partners that we onboard, we make sure that they're, firstly, of course, trust is a huge part of all of this. If you're able to allow the bankers to see, or the lenders to see, that this is a individual that has, let me give you an example. There's a difference between honesty and transparency.
Okay.
Trust me, in marriage, I'm learning this.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
If my wife asks me, I will answer. I've been honest.
Yeah.
But it's very different. But she has to know to ask the right questions, right? So she has to ask the right questions for me to answer. Now, transparency is that I've offered the information before you've even asked. You know everything of what I'm doing. You don't need to ask questions per se, because everything is available to you already, right? And so where we're trying to actually get to is not from just honesty, that, oh, if you're able to ask the business, oh, how much did you borrow? Where is your inventory? How much, how often do you restock? Yes, if you know to ask the right questions, all the right questions, you might get the full picture. But wouldn't it be easier if it was just transparent, where you can just go to one place and see everything you need to understand, and therefore you can price the risk appropriately, and therefore even as a lender, be able to, there's a poverty premium that as a result these traders have to pay. And it's not that necessarily that the lenders and the corporates are wanting to take advantage or capitalize. It's that the only way for them to price in the risk, or to price in risk that they don't understand because there's no data, is to increase premiums, is to increase interest rates, it's to require higher collateral. These are the issues that we're facing in Nigeria.
There's something you said that I've never heard, which is poverty premium. That's quite interesting. But let's also talk about another side to this conversation, which I think is really important, which is privacy and trust. Really, how do we make more data available for this financial decisions without compromising on people's rights and their privacy.
Yeah. Yes, none of this can come at the compromise of trust and privacy. Like you cannot use people's data without their consent, right? And so I've been watching the reforms, I've been watching the direction of policy with this administration. And, you know, there are little things that are happening that previously they're being spoken about that previously I'd never thought about. A good example is that CBN has required that all financial institutions host their financial data locally. Prior to that, I had no idea where my data was being hosted. And I don't think I even cared. But now that it's being spoken about, it's not that I now care where my data is being hosted. It's a signal of that this is an intentional step to build trust in the financial system. There's a lot of issues around consumer protection. There's a lot of issues around, like we've spoken about, malpractice or seeming malpractice, which may actually just be a result of no data being available. So what is very, very important is that the human rights of privacy and trust cannot be corroded or taken advantage of in any way. So it is then on the regulator, it is then on the corporates following the regulations to ensure that they fall within those lines. And ideally, those regulations should have taken into account what these things mean to the people, because government is there to serve the people. And so that's what I would say on that, is that privacy and trust cannot be compromised because we're trying to improve financial inclusion in our country.
Right. And speaking about some of the things that we've done in terms of making significant progress, we've seen that Nigeria has actually made significant progress in terms of digital payment and identity. What do you think is still missing in our infrastructure?
We've made a lot of progress on transaction rails.
Okay.
We've built a lot of transaction rails. So yes, you can see money moving in and out, but we don't have an intelligence layer on top of that. That's what we're talking about. What does it all come together to say about a business, about an individual? So this is where I think we need to move to, where all these different fintechs, banks, doing amazing work, by the way. How do you then bring it part of an interoperable system that allows us to have an intelligence layer that services not just private sector, but also the public sector, who are trying to distribute social services, who are trying to distribute benefits, who are trying to even understand the nation. When you're able to do that, you move from, you move from saying, oh, this is my digital identity. Put it this way, someone's economic activity can actually now become an asset that they can leverage to grow themselves, grow their business. And that's where we're trying to move to.
So who needs to take the lead here? Is it the government? Is it the fintechs? Is it the telecom companies? Or is it a shared responsibility for everyone?
Definitely the latter.
Okay.
The government has to provide let's say, the playground, the rules, the regulations, the boundaries as to
enabling environment.
Enabling environment, correct. But of course, the telcos have a role. Telcos have the biggest distribution in this country today, in most places. So what I mean is that, like, most people have access to a phone if they don't have a phone themselves. And therefore, in a country where the mobile penetration and internet penetration is so high, the mobile phone becomes a very obvious way to distribute services. Banks have a role to play in that. What are the rights? Are you taking in that intelligence, and even the fintechs, and then building the right products and services? Are you pricing it the right way? Who else can we talk about? Even the consumer at the end of this all needs to also be willing to provide consent, which is back to the trust I was talking about. Right. There needs to be government pushing forward signals that this system can be trusted. We are intentional about it as a government. It's improved, but there's still a way to go, and I believe that they're making steps towards that. But then on the other side, the consumer then also has to then understand what is coming out of government, what is coming out, what are the things being offered to them, and then offer consent, because again, privacy and trust are huge. You need to understand, but they need to understand what it is they're consenting to.
I think this is a good place for us to just wrap up the conversation today. So if we get this data infrastructure right, really, what does that actually change for the Nigerian consumer, the small business that is not currently in place? What changes?
From a financial inclusion angle, I would say that financial inclusion is now not what is known about you on paper, but based on what you actually do. Because remember, a lot of the data is hidden. So a retailer that is doing very good business is doing very good business. It's just that people don't know about it. So it's not that they're a riskier business, it's just that they're not visible. Do you understand? They might be a very low risk business based on like the business they're actually doing. But unless somebody can understand it, as far as they're concerned, this is an invisible business, we know nothing, and therefore someone who is doing bad business versus good business will get priced the same, will get judged the same. Like I said earlier, we moved from a place where we are today, where people are just trying to get access to capital, cheaper loans, cheaper this, to your economic activity being an asset. An asset that, yes, as an individual business, as an individual person, I can leverage to access, better services. But what people fail to understand, the informal economy, which is where we work, is the largest group in Nigeria.
Absolutely.
Not just from a business perspective. About 85% of our population is classified as informal sector. So you need to be able to reach those folks. Now, when you're able to reach those folks with targeted services that allow them to grow their businesses, and when we talk about consent and all these things, the other side of that, which is that folks also need to feel like if they were to pay taxes, it would go to the right places. You then move away from, a lot of the conversations we're having today to real economic prosperity, because the actual activity of the nation is what is driving our economy, rather than, oh, we've borrowed from here or we've done this. A lot of it comes down to, are you able to move from just borrowing and stuff to real productivity? And productivity comes from being able to borrow and pay for that borrowing based on the actual economic activity that your business is doing, and be able to afford it so that you can grow and prosper, and that lifts the entire nation up.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Sadiq Edu, founder of Pika Insight. Thank you very much for joining us on Business Morning Live.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
This is where we wrap it up this morning. Up next is Social Listening. Do stay with us.
Ibilola Ashcroft, MD, Parthian Capitals. Really good to have a sit down with you this afternoon. All right, I understand that Parthian works closely with business growth, right? So, what qualities do you believe would make a Nigerian market investment ready? Because at the end of the day, if you're not investment ready, nobody would want to invest in you. So what qualities should these businesses have for them to, say, oh, I'm ready to get invested?
Okay. So generally, we are in, I guess, in a phase where we do have a lot of founders and we have a lot of businesses that are really springing up, and we've had conversations today that have spoken about capital and the availability of capital, and that is true. There really is capital that is available. I think what we've seen that has changed has been that for the recent past, it's been more of what we'll tag as easy capital. So you could easily access capital, not too rigorous as the case may be, but we've seen a shift now. We had, I think, the MD of EcoBank talking about the fact that there were no bankable projects or something around that side. But what I would say is that we've gotten to the era where I think capital is a bit more discerning, meaning that it's very specific about where it's going to and what value it's looking at in terms of where this capital is allocated. And I think that's really what's driving the allocation of capital nowadays. So I mean, a few things that are important for investors, because this is their money after all, and they are seeking risk-adjusted returns and looking to promote sustainable businesses. And I think one key thing will probably be corporate governance. So investors want to be sure that the business that they're putting their money in, is transparent, is well managed. As I said, the goal of giving the intention behind allocating capital is ultimately for the return. So you want to make sure that the business is well managed, has a like a resilient business, business decision making business model behind it. Another would be financial discipline. You want to make sure that the business is one that has accurate records, robust reporting. Investors want to be sure that the A that you have mentioned is the A, and the B is the B, and that's really what drives them to be able to allocate more capital, I guess, to this sort of businesses. Something else would be scalability. Markets, what's the word I'll use there? Market receptivity. I don't know if that's a word, but something along those lines. Yes. So investors are very keen. I believe that capital flows still remains very attractive to businesses that are making an impact, essentially solving real problems. So those are things that I believe investors are looking for when you're looking for areas in which to, or businesses in which to put money in. I think maybe something else that is also in line with it is also who the founders are really. Investors want to know that these founders are, they are adaptable, they are flexible, they are willing to.
Parthian works closely with business growth, right? So, what qualities do you believe would make a Nigerian market investment ready? Because at the end of the day, if you're not investment ready, nobody would want to invest in you. So, what qualities should these businesses have for them to, say, "Oh, I'm ready to get invested"?
Okay. So generally, yeah, we are in, I guess, in a phase where we do have a lot of founders and we have a lot of businesses that are really springing up, and we've had conversations today that have spoken about capital and the availability of capital, and that is true. There really is capital that's available. I think what we've seen that has changed has been that for the recent past, it's been more of what we would tag as easy capital. So you could easily access capital, not too rigorous as the case may be, but we've seen a shift now. We had, I think, the MD of EcoBank talking about the fact that there were no bankable projects or something around that side. But what I would say is that we've gotten to the era where I think capital is a bit more discerning, meaning that it's very specific about where it's going to and what value it's looking at in terms of where this capital is allocated. And I think that's really what's driving the allocation of capital nowadays. So I mean, a few things that are important for investors, because this is their money after all, and they are seeking risk-adjusted returns and looking to promote sustainable businesses. And I think one key thing will probably be corporate governance. So investors want to be sure that the business that they're putting their money in, is transparent, is well managed. As I said, the goal of giving the intention behind allocating capital is ultimately for the return. So you want to make sure that the business is well managed, has a like a resilient business, decision making business model behind it. Another would be financial discipline. You want to make sure that the business is one that has accurate records, robust reporting. Investors want to be sure that the A that you have mentioned is the A, and the B is the B, and that's really what drives them to be able to allocate more capital, I guess, to this sort of businesses. Something else would be scalability. Markets, what's the word I'll use there? Market receptivity. I don't know if that's a word, but something along those lines. Yes. So investors are very keen. I believe that capital flows still remains very attractive to businesses that are making an impact, essentially solving real problems. So those are things that I believe investors are looking for when you're looking for areas in which to, or businesses in which to put money in. I think maybe something else that is also in line with it is also who the founders are really. Investors want to know that these founders are, they are adaptable, they are flexible, they are willing to change as market conditions evolve. Yeah, you have to have that flexibility. Ultimately, investors want to make sure that their capital works and generates returns, and I believe these are some of the things that they will be looking for in terms of making decisions as to where their capital goes.
So from what you said, getting capital is actually more selective now.
Oh, yes,
and also
yes.
founders are actually finding fundraising very difficult. Now, what's biggest investment opportunities do you see in Nigeria in the next, let's say, 3 to 5 years?
So I take that as meaning like sectors. What sectors we think that are going to be? So I think maybe 2 sectors, really stick out to me, just on the basis of what we do and the businesses that we speak with. One would be the agric and agro-allied industry. Yes, as we're very much aware, food is a basic necessity. It's very needed. The market is also quite inelastic, meaning there is always demand. Some of the things that we see as the there are bottlenecks on one side, but they are also what determines what can happen. So obviously our teeming population, everybody has got to eat. Yes. So when I look at that, beyond even the food supply, which is just one aspect of it in terms of actual food production, there's also food processing. There is also the logistics speed of it. There is also the export-ready businesses. So within that, value chain are business opportunities that capital can actually be channeled to, and that can make significant impact in terms of the economy of Nigeria currently. I think another will be energy.
Sorry, I was thinking when you mentioned energy.
I don't know. Energy is huge as well, and investors or people will be looking at, or investors will be looking at, solutions from areas like distributed power to renewable energy. I believe everybody has solar now, and it's such a huge market, and with good reason to say. So renewable energy, and essentially solutions. People are looking for solutions that can help reduce energy cost and push reliability. So in as long as we have businesses that are creating solutions that fit any of these buckets or these areas essentially, and we can find the capital to back that up, then I believe that those are key sectors, that can really push Nigeria forward in the short to mid-term, I would say.
Yeah, very well. Let's talk about the CEO Forum.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
The CEO Forum.
Okay.
This is the 14th edition, if you're aware. Let's look at the theme from stability to shared prosperity. What do you think about that?
So I think my company actually had an event, I think it was last year, and shared prosperity is no longer new, to be honest. I think it's really become a mantra that everyone is keen into, and we need to start thinking beyond what is good for me alone or what works for me alone. At Parthian, we're very much at the center of that in terms of the businesses that we do, and as well as even the areas that we are trying to push. We are doing a lot in terms of getting into trade financing, and that's because we are trying to open up opportunities to a lot of businesses. Everything is about making sure that there is an avenue for all to prosper and for all to benefit. And so from being capital allocators on our end with some of our businesses to being capital seekers, or to helping capital seekers on the other end of the spectrum, Parthian is smack at the middle of that. Be it being an individual, be you be a business, an institution, we are there to support you in terms of your financial goals, financial aspirations, and also in terms of the access to capital. spot on in terms of what the conversation is about, in terms of funding, finding capital, seeking capital to be able to build those solutions and provide those lasting solutions to some of the problems that Nigeria is currently experiencing as a nation. We're smack there, and we are open to business, and we do hope that as people listen to this, they do reach out to us, because we are willing and ready to help them move their businesses to the next level.
I like that. Thank you very much, Ibilola Ashcroft, MD, Parthian Capital. So it was really good to have you sit down.
Thank you for having me as well.
If it's sparking conversations, then we're bringing it to your seat. Welcome to the social listening segment here on Business Morning Live, where we bring to you the stories, the debates, and moments generating conversation across social media. I'm Elizabeth Musa, and now let's get into what is making waves online. For our very first conversation today, the federal government has introduced the Coastal Highway Guards to safeguard the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway against vandalism, illegal occupation, and other unauthorized activities. Now, this initiative was launched by the Minister of Works, David Umahi, with an initial deployment of 40 personnel, according to a statement which was shared on Sunday by the Senior Special Assistant on New Media to the Lagos State Governor Jubril Gawat. He listed their responsibilities to include reporting suspicious movement, preventing hawking, monitoring and reporting vandalism, and restricting the use of motorcycles and tricycles, as well as loitering along the highway. We'll see some of the reactions to this conversation on social media. There are videos, there are lots of reactions, there's just a lot of things happening, but I would say it's a step in the right direction in my own books, but let's see what the people on social media streets feel about this new development. Let's see some of the tweets on this story. Right, there's a video. Is there a video? Let's check out some of the tweets. That's a video.
Not frighten them. Their responsibility will include, among other things, maintaining presence along designated sections of the highway and maintaining alert to activities capable of threatening the safety of road users or government infrastructure. They are expected to observe, remain vigilant, identify hazards, monitor government infrastructure, report vandalism and suspicious activities, assist motorists appropriately, report incidents and emergencies, communicate accurately, maintain proper record, support authorized security and emergency agencies. They will protect the integrity.
Now there goes the video unveiling the new guards that will safeguard the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway against vandalism. I think it's a step in the right direction, because if you apply the coastal corridor, you understand that that place is supposed to be a major, it's literally a major corridor for business activities that will go on. So as much as possible, because of how would I say I don't think deserted is the word, but just because of how critical that highway is, and the fact that we don't have as much security there. So it's very important that we have this guards who will safeguard the highway against any sort of illegal occupation and other unauthorized activities. But let's see some of the comments on social media to see how Nigerians are reacting to it. Uma Magaji says, this is a very good initiative. Exactly what I thought too. It says, having dedicated guards on the coastal highway will help improve security, protect the infrastructure, and give road users more confidence. Well done, Honorable Minister David Umahi. More reactions to this story. Ifeanyi Umebekwe says, this is a commendable step toward protecting and preserving public infrastructure. Kudos to Engineer David Umahi for this important initiative and his commitment to safeguarding Nigeria's infrastructure. Do we have more reactions? Free Thinker says, what happened to recruiting more men into Nigeria police force and creating a division for road guards if it becomes necessary? Shame of a country. I know for sure that we'll definitely have the people that will be against this. I knew. There's a final comment from Areg. Says, a man who is supposed to have stepped down while investigations are ongoing is here launching a security outfit. What a joke of a nation. Well, that's just life for you. There's going to be people for and against. The ones that see the positive side to it, the ones that will poke holes. But whatever the case, I think it's a very commendable initiative by the Minister of Works. That highway certainly needs more security. Well, is this the right time? I don't think there's a right time for security. Every day we need security, so I think it's commendable. Yes, there he has his, what's it called? He has the, what's that thing they say about if someone has something on him and then you're just trying to find something. Yes, there's that for sure, right? But I think it's commendable. Will those people do their work? Will there be regulations as to how they do their work? That's a conversation for another day that I cannot have. It's going to be up to us as a people to see if they are actually doing their work. It's going to be up to the authorities to ensure that they're actually doing their work, so that these guards that are meant to safeguard the coastal way don't become the oppressors. You know how they say a mentor, not a tormentor, so they don't become the tormentor. So that said, I think it's commendable. Let's move to our next conversation today, where an Edo State resident has challenged the governor Monday Okpebholo over the poor condition of roads in the state, questioning why he was campaigning in Osun State while residents continue to struggle with deteriorating infrastructure at home. The resident made the remarks in a video circulating on social media where he pointed to a flooded and muddy road beneath a bridge in Edo State and called on Okpebholo to return and address the condition of the road. Now, the criticism has or was directed at Okpebholo days after the governor described Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke as a dancing governor while campaigning in Osun ahead of the August 15 governorship election. Well, there's a video to this. Let's take a look at the video and then come and see how Nigerians are also reacting to this conversation. Yes.
No more he dey back. He with the convoy. They back as they talk to us. So he not see road enter the office. Understand? Where they go another state, go they campaign for another state. Say the state is not working. State where they work, say it's not working. Today, no, post this video, let it go viral. Yes, yeah, everywhere. As I talk to now, so all the whole streets where they this area now, most of the truck now that they follow now. Some don't even seek for inside there. And area boys they collect money for their hand now. As I talk to now, so going and coming.
Will the resident be wrong to call out the governor of Edo State? I think not. I think the residents have every right within them to call out a governor, anyone in position of authority when they're falling short. Because look at that road. And this is not just Edo State. This is Lagos State. This is, a number of states. But in this case, we need to talk about Edo State. That road we saw is really bad. So I understand when a resident will call out the governor and say XYZ thing. This is you're speaking about this person. How about ours? How about our own roads? How about the state of our own welfare? It's understandable, but let's see some of the reactions on social media and see how Nigerians are reacting to this conversation online. There's a comment from Rooney. Rooney says the residents should speak the language the man will understand, because this particular governor does not understand English language. They should speak Edo language so oh my goodness, wow. This person has guns blazing in that tweet. It's just all about just against the governor in every way. But let's see some more reactions on social media and see how Nigerians are reacting. Mazi Chijoke says someone who does not know his left from right is a governor of a state in Nigeria. He cannot be admitted in high institutions in Nigeria, but he is a governor. Well, that's the story. That's the unfortunate situation and what we see in Nigeria. Do we have more reactions? Glow says, calling another governor a dancing governor is easy. The harder part is making your people feel the rhythm of good governance. I actually like this comment. Making your people feel the rhythm of good governance. Wow, I love that actually. Magic Ponter says, you're insulting your fellow governor when you yourself have not done any meaningful development in your state. Birds of a feather. Like they always say, those who live in glass houses don't throw stones. I mean, they say remove the speck from your own eyes before you try to remove that in another person's eyes. That's not saying you cannot make criticism, but if you want to do that, you need to be sure that you also have your house in order. And I think that's where some of these people are reacting, because the state of things in Edo State definitely need work to be done. So you'd expect that the governor of Edo State is focused on finding solutions to the problems or creating better welfare for their citizens, as against engaging himself with, for me, I would say, unnecessary politicking, because I think there are better issues to sort out within Edo State. But we'll leave that conversation and go to the final conversation today, where the Lagos State government has intensified its crackdown on hoodlums accused of harassing, intimidating and extorting motorists along major roads in the state. The State Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, Tokunbo Wahab, disclosed this in a post on X on Sunday, saying operatives of the Rapid Response Squad carried out a midnight enforcement operation along the Lekki-Ajah Expressway. According to Wahab, the operation targeted miscreants allegedly involved in harassing motorists and other road users, extorting money from them and damaging vehicles when their demands were rejected. I'm so happy that this is happening, because it's been a sorry case. It's been an eyesore when you see how this, I don't know what to even call them. What do you even call this miscreant? Because these are not, they're not beggars. They're just on the, it just speaks to something that needs to be addressed. People need jobs, because if these people have jobs, if these people are gainfully employed and are doing meaningful activities in the places they should be, I don't think they'll be on the road looking out for luxury vehicles, looking out for people who have fancy cars. And because I think now you don't even, it's almost like everyone wants to even drive in an Uber-like vehicle, because that's the only way you might even have peace. And if you're not careful, so if your Uber-like vehicle is looking fancy, they will come for you. So they need to clamp down on this, because they're even borderline. It's dangerous at this point. It's actually really dangerous, because they will come for you. If you don't have money to give them, they feel entitled to your money. They will damage your screen, windshield. They will damage your side mirror. They will dent your vehicles. So some will almost, if you even wind down, some will almost like drag your hair, just harm you, which is really unfair. And I think it's something that it's nice to see that, you know, our Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources disclosed this, and it should definitely be addressed. Let's see some of the remarks and comments on social media and see how Nigerians are reacting to this. Now, that's a comment from Ismail. It says, this is the kind of enforcement Lagos needs. Nobody should be harassed, extorted, or have their vehicle damaged simply because they're trying to use the road. Hopefully, the RRS sustains its operations and ensures that the Lekki-Ajah becomes safer for motorists and commuters. Do we have more reactions? Nas guy says the midnight operation on the Lekki-Ajah Expressway is long overdue. Hopefully, it brings some relief for motorists dealing with that harassment and extortion. Absolutely. Do we have more reactions to this conversation on social media? There's a comment from Dakoru Johnson. Dakoru says, this is a good move from Lagos State government. Enough of these hoodlums in Lagos State. Lagos State is the center of excellence in Nigeria. Well, at this point, that's now debatable. Mr. Easy.fx says, good move. People should be able to drive through there at night without worrying about being harassed or extorted. You know, it's funny because these commenters are even mentioning they're clamping down on nights. They're talking about just night. It's not just at night. Even during the daytime, it's ridiculous. So it's good to see that we're seeing the RRS getting to work. Let's get these people off the road. Let's get them off the road. And I think it's beyond getting them off the road. It's also getting them meaningful work to do so that they are engaged in more meaningful activity. That would, and also a resensitization, right? A sensitization. They need not to feel entitled to anybody's money because they are driving on that road. Because you're driving on that road does not mean that you're the richest person in Nigeria. It's just, you're just going about your business as well. So they need to sensitize them. They need to do a desensitization and a resensitization. They need to give them gainful employment. They need to get them work to do. And there needs to be many of these RRS members on the road. That way, they would also be very wary of their activities. But yes, that's why we'll leave social listening today on the show. It's been such a great show. Thank you so much for joining us from the start of the show up until this moment. Thank you for joining us from the newspapers to the news, as well as seeing what we have on Business Week with Olalade Akumurele, as well as the other editors, and then also seeing what we have on the Business Morning Live conversations, where we talked about financial inclusion and data, and finally here at on the social listening segment, where we check out some of the stories making the rounds on social media. Thank you so much for sticking with us. My name is Elizabeth Musa. Until tomorrow, stay safe.
I am, of course, a great admirer of the impeccable credibility, professionalism, and business savviness of BusinessDay. If you really mean business in Nigeria, start your day with BusinessDay.
BusinessDay is West Africa's leading provider of business intelligence and information, delivering premium content across diversified media platforms, including online, mobile, and print. Since its inception in 2001 with a weekly newspaper production, BusinessDay has expanded its reach to provide exclusive content accessible through print, mobile, and online channels. At BusinessDay, our mission is clear: to be the foremost provider of business and financial content, empowering readers to make informed decisions in Nigeria and Africa. Since our establishment, we have been committed to delivering insightful, relevant, and accurate information about Nigeria's business and finance environment, while contextualizing the impact of global events. We monitor the stock market, analyze the companies driving it, and report on government policies and their economic implications. From decoding market trends to dissecting economic shifts, we offer actionable investment ideas and serve as a compass for decision-makers navigating complexity. Beyond headlines, Business Day fosters discussions on critical economic issues through impactful conferences and events. These platforms bring industry leaders together to share narratives that drive innovation and spark meaningful dialogues. Our events galvanize connections, bridging the gap between inspiration and achievement. For businesses seeking visibility, our strong digital presence offers unparalleled opportunities, with millions of followers across social media and a dynamic website attracting visitors from within and outside Nigeria. Business Day is the ideal platform to boost visibility for your products and services. If you're looking for in-depth analysis and expert opinions on Nigeria and Africa's business landscape, Business Day is your guide.
Pleasure of welcoming great supporters and friends from INMA. He's the president, and then of course L. Wilkinson, and then Dorin is heading the work in Africa.
Honored that you're hosting us today. We look forward to a positive exchange of ideas and strategies to make our industry better. With me is Al Wilkinson. He's President and Executive Director of International News Media Association, all the way from Ghana. And we're happy to have him here. I'll let him tell you guys more about him and why he's here.
I would leave you with the idea about business days. No platform can take it. No AI can replicate it. No competitor can buy it. So here's a little advice. Defend it. Build it. Invest in it. Because folks, the decade ahead is going to belong to huge organizations that are unmistakably themselves. They're not boring. They're not neutral. Who are you? Answer that question and you'll figure out the next one. Thanks a lot.
Pleasure of welcoming great supporters and friends from INMA. He's the president, and then of course L. Wilkinson, and then Dorin is heading the work in Africa.
Honored that you're hosting us today. We look forward to a positive exchange of ideas and strategies to make our industry better. With me is Al Wilkinson. He's President and Executive Director of International News Media Association, all the way from Ghana. And we're happy to have him here. I'll let him tell you guys more about him and why he's here.
I would leave you with the idea about business days. No platform can take it. No AI can replicate it. No competitor can buy it. So here's a little advice. Defend it. build it, invest in it, because folks, the decade ahead is going to belong to news organizations that are unmistakably themselves. They're not boring, they're not neutral. Who are you? Answer that question and you'll figure out the next one. Thanks a lot.
This is still the Business Day CEO Forum, the 14th annual edition, and I'm still speaking to our CEOs, business leaders right here at the booth. I'm speaking right now with the CEO of the African Medical Center of Excellence, Abuja, Mr. Brian Diva. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
I'm going to start by asking you what are some of the takeaways you've gotten from this event. I mean, it's been about 6 hours now of different sessions. I believe that you would have some things you're taking back home. So what are some of those things you might want to share with our audience?
Well, obviously being in healthcare, that's going to be an area that I'll take particular interest in and gravitate to. I really enjoyed hearing the comments from Aga Khan and some of the things that they're doing, the progress that they've made, the technology that they have implemented. When we opened the African Medical Center of Excellence, we were fortunate to have attracted some of the staff from Aga Khan. And so they're very accomplished, very skilled, and we're very grateful to have them. So a number of points that were made in his presentation, particularly around medical tourism and some of the things that we can do to not only reduce it, but to reverse it, the outbound medical tourism. Additionally, and of course, I think the highlight of the day, the comments made by the governor of the central bank, and the incredible things that have been done there to shore up Nigeria's economic situation and to stabilize the currency and ultimately build confidence around the globe in what's happening in Nigeria.
Right. Let's talk about healthcare. AMC has happened to, treat more than 5,000 patients across 20 African countries. What does this tell you about the gap that we have in healthcare in Africa?
Yeah, and let me just clarify, while the commissioning occurred a little over a year ago, we've only had our full license for about 7 months. And so the bulk of those 5,000 patients have come in about a little over half a year. I think what that points to is the fact that there is a pent-up need and a recognition of the need for specialized care that has not been able to be found either in Nigeria or even in West Africa in some cases. Before the AMCE was developed, a study was commissioned to determine what the gaps were. And that's really what guided us in determining what we would be doing at the AMCE. And so we have been fortunate for the last 3 years, while the hospital was being built, to go out and meet with the administrative teams of both government and private hospitals and develop good working relationships of trust with them to encourage collaboration. And so we have been fortunate that those referring hospitals have had confidence in us to send patients to us, and again that acknowledges that we are in fact addressing some of the gaps that were there.
Right. Now let's talk about the theme for this year's event, which is from stability to shared prosperity. When you think of stability to shared prosperity, right, for Africa, what does that mean for you? I mean, not just from an African perspective, but also from a Western perspective looking in. What would you say is shared prosperity?
Right. Well, I think taking the comments from the governor of the central bank, his is a perfect example of the theme of the forum, and that is stabilizing the economy, stabilizing the currency, and we can see that has significantly slowed down the growth of prices on everyday items, food, fuel, and that sort of thing. Now, there have been some other inputs to go into that. Our good friend Dangote has opened a large refinery with the help of Afrexim Bank,
yes.
And that too has lowered or stopped the rise of fuel prices. But once the stability occurs, then we're able to more confidently grow small businesses and medium-sized businesses, which increases employment and makes opportunities available for more Nigerians. And that's really what this is about. We need to lower unemployment. We need to provide more jobs and more opportunities to grow those small businesses.
Now, my final question for you will be navigating the economic climate, right? You heard from the governor of the central bank. He has talked about a lot of indicators that shows that our economy has stabilized. I don't know if you agree with that, but has it been navigating the economic climate as a CEO?
Yeah, so first off, I completely agree with the comments that he's made today, and with the achievements that he's had. I've watched it. So I came when President Buhari was still in office. I saw the exchange rate go from, the official rate of 460 naira per dollar to about 1,800 naira per dollar. So I've seen what the governor was attempting to tackle. And as the various initiatives were put in place, many of them were painful. And I watched the pain occur across the country, but they were absolutely necessary. And so when he talks about when the hard things need to be done, you can't be a nice guy.
Yes.
I understand what he means. I think you could still be a nice guy and do the hard stuff, but I as a CEO, obviously we had to put mechanisms in place to monitor our own prices. So, as we perform very specialized cases in the hospital, whether it's heart surgery, replacement of heart valves, chemotherapy, the drugs are extremely expensive. We've had to keep a close eye on those costs so that we can keep the costs down for the patient. We've been able to do that. Part of that is in the selection of our suppliers, truly partnering with them as opposed to more of just a loose marketplace. And then the other thing too is monthly evaluating our prices to see how they need to be adjusted up or down to reflect the exchange rates. So all of that, it affects everybody. And what we're hoping is now that the currency is stabilized, that we'll be able to attract more manufacturers back to Nigeria, particularly in the healthcare space.
My final question will be, if you were to come back here in 2027, what would you hope has changed in Nigeria?
Wow. That's a great question. I'm so focused on what we are trying to accomplish at the African Medical Center of Excellence. There's a lot that's going to happen there in the next 12 months. But I think the things that we accomplish there are somewhat of a microcosm of the larger environment. So we expect to begin expansion of the hospital from 170 beds to 500 beds. We will have really all of our specialty areas functioning. We have what's called a cyclotron there on our campus, which produces nuclear material for diagnostic and treatment. And the cyclotron we put in has enough energy to not only supply us, but 4 or 5 other hospitals. I'd love to see 4 or 5 other hospitals with PET scanners who can use the isotopes that we're creating. I'd love to see the naira strengthen against the dollar. I think that President Trump is trying to assist with that. He's lowering or devaluing the dollar in an attempt to encourage exports. And so would love to see the naira strengthen against the dollar and improve the purchasing power of Nigerians. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Mr. Brand Diva. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Oh, my pleasure. Anytime.
All right, Ibilola Ashcroft, MD, Parthian Capitals. Really good to have a sit down with you this afternoon. All right, I understand that Parthian works closely with business growth, right? So, what qualities do you believe would make a Nigerian market investment ready? Because at the end of the day, if you're not investment ready, nobody would want to invest in you. So what qualities should these businesses have for them to, say, oh, I'm ready to get invested?
Okay. So generally, we are in a phase where we do have a lot of founders and we have a lot of businesses that are really springing up, and we've had conversations today that have spoken about capital and the availability of capital, and that is true. There really is capital that's available. I think what we've seen that has changed has been that for the recent past, it's been more of what we would tag as easy capital. So you could easily access capital, not too rigorous as the case may be, but we've seen a shift now. We had, I think, the MD of EcoBank talking about the fact that there were no bankable projects or something around that side. But what I would say is that we've gotten to the era where I think capital is a bit more discerning, meaning that it's very specific about where it's going to and what value it's looking at in terms of where this capital is allocated. And I think that's really what's driving the allocation of capital nowadays. So a few things that are important for investors, because this is their money after all, and they are seeking risk-adjusted returns and looking to promote sustainable businesses. And I think one key thing will probably be corporate governance. So investors want to be sure that the business that they're putting their money in, is transparent, is well managed. As I said, the goal of giving the intention behind allocating capital is ultimately for the return. So you want to make sure that the business is well managed, has a resilient business, decision-making business model behind it. Another would be financial discipline. You want to make sure that the business is one that has accurate records, robust reporting. Investors want to be sure that the A that you have mentioned is the A and the B is the B, and that's really what drives them to be able to allocate more capital, I guess, to this sort of businesses. Something else would be scalability. Markets, what's the word I'll use there? Market receptivity. I don't know if that's a word, but something along those lines. Yes. So investors are very keen. I believe that capital flows still remains very attractive to businesses that are making an impact, essentially solving real problems. So those are things that I believe investors are looking for when you're looking for areas in which or businesses in which to put money in. I think maybe something else that is also in line with it is also who the founders are really. Investors want to know that these founders are adaptable, they are flexible, they are willing to change as market conditions evolve. You have to have that flexibility. Ultimately, investors want to make sure that their capital works and generates returns, and I believe these are some of the things that they will be looking for in terms of making decisions as to where their capital goes.
So from what you said, getting capital is actually more selective now.
Oh yes,
and also founders are actually finding fundraising very difficult. Now, what's biggest investment opportunities do you see in Nigeria in the next, let's say, 3 to 5 years?
So I mean, I take that as meaning like sectors. What sectors you think that are going to be? So I think maybe 2 sectors, really stick out to me, just on the basis of what we do and the businesses that we speak with. One would be the agric and agro-allied industry. Yes, as we are very much aware, food is a basic necessity. It's very needed. The market is also quite inelastic, meaning there is always demand. Some of the things that we see as the there are bottlenecks on one side, but they are also what determines what can happen. So obviously our teeming population, everybody has got to eat. Yes. So when I look at that, beyond even the food supply, which is just one aspect of it in terms of actual food production, there's also food processing, there is also the logistics speed of it, there is also the export ready businesses. So within that value chain are business opportunities that capital can actually be channeled to, and that can make significant impact in terms of the economy of Nigeria currently. I think another will be energy. I mean,
sorry, I was thinking energy.
I don't know. Energy is huge as well, and investors or people will be looking at, or investors will be looking at, solutions from areas like distributed power to renewable energy. I believe everybody has solar now, and it's such a huge market, and with good reason to say. So renewable energy, and essentially solutions. People are looking for solutions that can help reduce energy cost and push reliability. So in as long as we have businesses that are creating solutions that fit any of these buckets or these areas, essentially, and we can find the capital to back that up, then I believe that those are key sectors, that can really push Nigeria forward in the short to mid-term, I would say.
Yeah, very well. Let's talk about the CEO Forum.
Sorry, I didn't hear
the
that.
CEO Forum.
Okay.
This is the 14th edition, if you're aware. Let's look at the theme from stability to shared prosperity. What do you think about that?
So I think my company actually had an event, I think it was last year, and shared prosperity is no longer new, to be honest. I think it's really become a mantra that everyone is keen into, and we need to start thinking beyond what is good for me alone or what works for me alone. At Parthian, we are very much at the center of that in terms of the businesses that we do, and as well as even the areas that we are trying to push. We are doing a lot in terms of getting into trade financing, and that's because we are trying to open up opportunities to a lot of businesses. I mean, everything is about making sure that there is an avenue for all to prosper and for all to benefit. And so from being capital allocators on our end with some of our businesses to being capital seekers, or to helping capital seekers on the other end of the spectrum, Parthian is smack at the middle of that. Be it being an individual, be a business, an institution, we are there to support you in terms of your financial goals, financial aspirations, and also in terms of the access to capital. Spot on in terms of what the conversation is about, in terms of finding capital, seeking capital to be able to build those solutions and provide those lasting solutions to some of the problems that Nigeria is currently experiencing as a nation. We're smack there, and we are open to business, and we do hope that as people listen to this, they do reach out to us, because we are willing and ready to help them move their businesses to the next level.
I like that. Thank you very much, Ibilola Ashcroft, MD, Parthian Capital. So it's really good to have you sit down.
Thank you for having me as well.
Well, this is still the Business Day CEO Forum, the 14th edition, and it's still a very epic moment here at Eco Hotel and Suites, speaking with CEOs, key stakeholders, and business leaders. And now I'm speaking with the CEO of Aga Khan University Hospital, is Mr. Khurram Jamal. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
I want to start by asking you about some of the key takeaways that you've gotten from this event. I mean, you've been here for a while now, and then you had a presentation. Talk to me about what you think about this year's theme, which is from stability to shared prosperity, and also some of the key takeaways that you might have gotten from some of the sessions which we had here.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Thank you for Business Day, for inviting the Aga Khan University Hospital to participate in this very fruitful CEOs Forum. A lot of interesting talks and topics have been talked about this today, including energy, finance, banking, issues and challenges that are facing the Nigerian business sector, and what the business community, the government, along with the private sector are planning to do to come together and take the agenda forward. So it has been very interesting. Ours was really to do with the healthcare sector, and what we as an Aga Khan University Hospital, which is a private not-for-profit teaching tertiary hospital, is planning to do in terms of trying to keep the African patients not going abroad outside of the continent, but they can acquire quality healthcare within Africa.
And then when you speak about quality healthcare within Nigeria, I think Africa is really important, because every year we see billions of dollars leaving Africa out of the African continent, for medical treatment abroad. And we see also that many of our best healthcare professionals, I'll speak also from the standpoint of being a Nigerian, many of our best healthcare professionals are leaving the country. And I know this also is happening in other African countries. How do we reverse this brain drain that is going on?
Yes, so I spoke about a few things. One is regularly building talent. That's number one. Number two is ensuring that we pay what is right to our physicians. Number three, what is also very important is if we do not provide the right practicing environment for physicians, then they have no other choice but to leave the countries where they're coming from. So for a cardiologist who has spent 12, 13, 14 years training to become a specialist, if he does not have the right environment in which to practice medicine, whether it's to do with outpatient consulting clinic work, or whether it's to do with the cath lab, diagnostic and interventional procedures, or whether it's to do with the recovery that takes place for these patients in the coronary care unit, if those facilities do not exist, then those cardiologists will simply not stay. So those are the challenges that we're currently facing, and that is what we as the private sector and as the government need to come together to ensure that we provide the right environment for our physicians to practice quality medicine.
Right. And I like when you said practicing quality medicine. That also brings me to the issue of trust, because trust happens to be a very recurring theme, especially in the healthcare sector. How do we get to the point where we begin to trust, the healthcare sector, to begin to trust, to make use of, healthcare within the continent?
Right. So another very important factor. Remember, the patients normally just see the physicians, but behind the physicians, you have other different clinical care providers, which includes nurses and allied health professionals. So they work cohesively as a team in providing that quality care to the patients. We at the Aga Khan University Hospital, we were the very first institution in sub-Saharan Africa to accredit ourselves with Joint Commission International. Now, this is an international gold standard quality accreditation for healthcare institutions, where you have more than 200 standards and over 1,200 measurable elements that you are regularly surveyed on, which assesses how good you are when it comes to delivery of quality care to patients. Besides this, we are also College of American Pathologists accredited laboratory, We also have 2 centers of excellence in stroke and heart attacks, which is a CCPC program from Joint Commission International, and the list goes on. So this is our way of showing to the patient that not only do we have the brightest minds in the institution, not only do we have the fantastic infrastructure and equipment, but we also have external quality accreditations with us that demonstrate our commitment to providing quality care.
Right. And you speak a lot about, collaboration within African healthcare. I know you had partnerships also with Kenyan Airways. What does it take to truly create a healthcare system which is, co-creating, collaborating? What does that look like?
So we have tried to, at least in our most recent partnership that we've now done with Kenya Airways, what that means is for the patients that are here in Nigeria, they can have access to quick airline tickets, they can have access to subsidized and discounted airfares, they can even have access to preferred seating arrangement within the aircrafts. They will also have access to stretchers and oxygen cylinders. And once those patients actually land in Nairobi, then our team from the Nairobi side will ensure that the patients are properly picked up from the airport through an ambulance, brought to the hospital immediately, so that continuity of care continues. Those patients may also even come with their own relatives and loved ones. So we have made arrangements for those loved ones to stay nearby the hospital. So we've created possibilities for accommodation. And after the care is done and those patients return back to their home country in Nigeria, the care doesn't stop. Our physicians in Nairobi will continue to stay in touch with the primary physicians here in Nigeria through teleconsultations and virtual care, so that we ensure that the care does not stop. So that is a type of a collaboration, and this is just one example that I'm giving you, where how we're trying to make an impact or a positive impact in the lives of Nigerians.
My final question for you, because I know you have to run, will be what you see shared prosperity in healthcare looking like in the next 10 years.
So we need to come together. I think the integrated health systems is the way to go. Once we come together is when the shared prosperity really materializes. And I'll give you an example of the Akan Health Services, which is working towards creating an integrated health solution between Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, all 3 of them being in East African nations, where all the 3 or 4 different hospitals that exist as part of the integrated health network and a network of nearly 100 medical centers come together, work together as a hub and spoke model, share the best practices, share technology, share cross-border and cross-functional trainings. These are the types of prosperity and shared practices that we're looking towards.
Right. Thank you very much for spending your time with us and stopping by at our booth today, Mr. Kurum. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Welcome to Behind the Headlines here on Business Day Television. This is where we go beyond the headlines to make sense of stories published on the Business Day newspaper. My name is Elizabeth Musa. Today, fire outbreaks and building-related disasters continue to destroy homes, businesses, and investment across Lagos, often leaving property owners to shoulder significant financial losses. The Lagos State government has launched a digital building insurance scheme aimed at improving compliance with mandatory building insurance, simplifying verification, and strengthening enforcement. The move forms part of a broader effort to reduce economic losses, improve accountability, and encourage greater protection for property owners. The key question now is whether this initiative can strengthen compliance, deepen insurance penetration, and make the state's built environment more resilient. Well, to unpack the policy behind the initiative and what it could mean for residents, businesses, and the insurance sector, we're joined by correspondent for politics and policy here at Business Day, Mr. Taufik Oyedokun. Thank you for joining Behind the Headlines, Taufik.
All right, thank you.
It's good to see you. I think it's my first time I'll be speaking with you on Behind the Headlines, so it's really a delight. Let's talk about the announcement itself.
Okay.
What exactly is the Lagos State government introducing, and why are they introducing it now?
Okay, so if you look at the initiative, the policy, the objective behind the policy is a good one. So according to the government, in the past 1 year, Lagos recorded about over 1,000, almost 1,700 cases of fire incidents, and about almost 20 billion naira losses in that incidents. So, and the reason why this kind of initiative is coming up is to prevent the consequences, the financial losses that always occur when fire incident happens. So it's not to, for me, it's not to prevent the fire itself, but to reduce the consequence. That means the financial consequences. Of course, when fire incidents happen, there are a lot of losses, life and properties, businesses. So this insurance scheme will reduce the financial losses. So any building that is insured, whenever there is fire incident, the resident or the landlord, the property owner will be able to have some claims that such person will use to rebuild their property or businesses.
Now, we also see that building insurance has long been a legal requirement in Lagos. What has prevented effective compliance and enforcement over the years?
You know, we have a lot of laws in Nigeria that we are not implementing. So implementation is the main issue. Even this new insurance scheme that was just launched last week, the government still lack capacity to implement a lot of laws. So that's the major challenge here. And I think if the government can implement this law, it will be a game changer. Like I said earlier, insurance cannot come and put out fires. It cannot prevent fire. But the consequence, when fire incidents happen, there are a lot of consequences. So it's just to prevent one of the consequences, which is financial consequence. So, and when people know that they are going to pay insurance, so they will be kind of conscious. They will put they put measures in place so that there will not be fire incidents in their building. And also another thing is that residents can now go to their portal, to the government, they call it the agency is LabBiz. Okay. They can go to the portal and check which buildings are insured.
So LabBiz is Lagos
Building Insurance
Scheme. Okay.
So they can go there and check if a building is insured or not. So any building that is insured, that means okay, the value for the building will be higher. Then once you rent the building, you know that if anything should happen, you are covered. And also it will give the government the opportunity to, because they are doing digitally, so it will give the government the opportunity to know which building is secure, which one is not secure, because of course the insurance companies that will be going into the scheme will do their proper, they will put everything in place, because they are private organizations. They don't want to before they can insure a building, they will ensure that the building is safe. Every safety measure is put in place, because they will not want to be paying claims yearly for that kind of building. They will ensure that okay, this building puts every measure in place to prevent fire incidents. So it's a game changer if the government can implement. Although they've already said that okay, there's a 5 million naira penalty
Mm-hmm.
for defaulters buildings that are not insured.
So does this digital scheme in any way change the way building insurance will be purchased, verified, monitored, and all of that?
So the details of the scheme itself is not in the public yet.
Okay.
But according to what the government released, it's just to prevent, to ensure that okay, when fire incidents happen,
Mm-hmm.
residents, landlord, and tenants, they have claims. They can claim.
Mm-hmm. They have policies,
They
right?
have, yes, they have they have premium with this, and they can fall back to something.
Okay.
Like I said earlier, about 19.7 billion naira were lost in 2025 due to fire incidents.
Right.
That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
When you move it from the GDP of the state, it's a lot. So imagine when that happens, you have something to fall back to.
Yeah.
If you lose money or maybe you lose property, you can go back to your insurance company and they will give you some claims.
Yeah.
So it's a game changer.
And let's actually go beyond protecting individuals, property owners, and all of that. What are some of the economic or governance problem that the state is trying to solve with this initiative?
Like I said, the first one is to prevent fire outbreak. But for me, the insurance thing itself is not a preventive method because insurance cannot put out fire. But I think it will help in doing that a little indirectly because the insurance company, before they can put any building under their cover, they will ensure that okay, the building is safe.
Yeah.
They put every measures in place. They have fire extinguisher, they have everything, they have emergency exit and everything that okay, when there's fire outbreak, can what's it called? Emergency responder, can they easily access the building?
The building, right.
Is it built in a place that okay, government still have a lot to do aside this insurance thing. So government still have a lot to do aside this insurance thing.
Right.
So government still have to provide a lot of equipment for responder.
Yes.
Fire trucks. They have to construct roads in community so that when fire incident happens, they are able to access the sites in limited time. So, but for this insurance that okay they've created, I think it prevents losses. It will limit losses when fire incident happen. So if fire is a disaster that no one can predict, it happens. We can't predict it and it always happens. So when it happens like that, you know that okay, some people, when a fire incident happened at what's it called? Okeani Market, Balogun Market last year and destroyed a lot of properties and warehouses. Many people died as a result of that, not from the fire, just from the outbreak
itself. But do we know how the government intends to enforce compliance itself, and what happens to the property owners that fail to obtain the required insurance? Do we know any of the things that will happen?
Like I said earlier, the details is not in the public yet, but based on the initial statement released by the government, there is 5 million penalty for defaulters, for landlords and property owners that fail to insure their residents. So when will this law start to take place? When will they start enforcing it? They've not stated it, but they are saying that okay, and they can see your building. If they see that okay, you are not complying with the regulation, you are not insuring your building. There's an agency that has been empowered to do so. It's called LABSCA, Lagos State Building Control Agency. So it has been empowered to do so. You can seal your building.
That makes
sense.
Maybe
when they take legal step against such property owner, there's 5 million naira penalty that such person will pay for not insuring his building.
Now, Taufik, do you see this in any way increasing insurance penetration, expanding the market for property insurance in Nigeria? Do you see any of these things happening with this?
You know, the insurance market in Nigeria is still very, very limited, and you know, there is trust deficit.
Yes, agreed.
Yes. So people always skeptical when they come to try to say, well, when we insured our building or car, whenever anything happens, we don't get our claims, everything. So it's for this policy to be successful, or for the insurance market to expand, there have to be trust. When people see that, okay, some people do it and maybe after fire incident happen, we don't pray for such, but it's a natural disaster that always happen.
Yeah.
But when it happens, they get their claims as stated by the insurance company or this thing. More people will be willing to enroll. Of course, it will expand insurance penetration, and also it also boils down to the issue of affordability.
Right.
So we have a lot of low-income earners and low-income house owners. There are some places that fine, their house is there, but the houses there, they are for low-income earners. So the insurance company also must have plans that will cover all this category of people, not just for the high income earners or the high rise owners. Also, they have to put a plan together that will cover this category of users in order to expand the initiative to others.
I do hope that this is in no way simply another regulatory requirement, or do you think that this offers a stronger financial case for protecting assets against unexpected losses? I think you've answered that to a large extent.
Of course.
So we're not seeing a case where this is just another regulatory requirement that Lagos State government, just brings out of nowhere. You don't see it as that.
No, well, I've said it earlier that we have a lot of laws that we are not implementing, and government also lack capacity or maybe unwilling to the political will to implement some laws. But I think if the government is determined that okay, this law we are going to implement it, it will be a game changer, like I've said earlier. So I think it's a good one if the government can implement it. But implementation has always been a major challenge in Nigeria, not only in Lagos State, across the federation. When it comes to implementing laws, we have good law, fine laws on documents, but implementation is the main.
It's always a big challenge. Yes. As politics and policy correspondent here at Business Day, what should we be watching out for in the coming month to judge whether this policy is delivering the intended results?
Of course, we as journalists will continue to do our work, do investigation as to in the next, by the next few months, if any fire outbreak happens, we'll reach out to the victims. We'll see if they are covered under any insurance plan, and also we also reach out. We'll be monitoring the trend. We are going to get more information from the government as to how are they planning to implement this new initiative in order to ensure that Lagosians are complying with it.
Yeah.
So also we'll be speaking with property owners also. Are they fine with the initiative? Are they in support of it? Do they think it will change anything going forward? That's what we'll be doing.
And what should we as regular citizens, what should we also be looking out for?
Of course, for regular citizens, what we should be looking out for is to believe that this initiative, like I've said earlier, is based on trust. If citizens say that this initiative they know that when fire happens, there are always losses. They know, everybody know that. But are they sure that when they are covered, when they pay for insurance, they will get their claims when fire accident? Yes. If they are assured of that, I'm very sure people will key into the initiative. And And of course, they will be expecting government to even do far more than that. In terms of providing the right equipment and the enabling environment for first responders, rescuers, Lagos State Fire Service to operate when there is fire incident. Fine, they are one of the best in the country based on reports, but they still need to do more in preventing fire outbreak or in responding promptly to fire outbreak. Not just insurance, like I've said, insurance will not put out fire. It's to prevent losses that always happen after fire. But the main focus of the government is to prevent the fire, and in doing so, is one of their own responsibility is to provide adequate equipment for fire service, and also ensure that buildings have the safety measures in place to ensure that no fire incidents. We have to do every possible means to prevent it. That's it.
Well, thank you very much, Taufik Oyedokun, correspondent politics and policy at BusinessDay Media Limited. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon on Behind the Headlines. This is where we close the curtain here, Behind the Headlines. Until tomorrow, stay safe.
All right.